right, we should be live. Wow, this made me appreciate my PC laptop even more because it actually works. All right, so we are going to do pop out chat. Oh, wait. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I had it on private by accident. Whoops. Let's do this again. Hopefully, y'all get notifications that we're live. I'm like, if one more button is pressed that I don't know of. So let me, if you're new here, hop on our Discord. It's discord.gg/busyworksbeats. So firstly, I'll start off with a philosophy and then we'll get into the chat's Q&A here. So I had it on private by accident. So we're going to fix that now. But I will give you guys a philosophy. So let me do this, add your chat. Once you guys start coming in, I'll answer your questions. So firstly, when it comes to online business, we're going to start with business, and then when you guys bring in music production questions, we'll get to that. But when it comes to online business, there's three pillars. There's traffic, there is value exchange, and then there's the follow-up process or the customer relations process. So once you simplify your online business into those three pillars, you will have an easier time on what to work on. A lot of people just don't know what to work on. They think the Beat Store is the entire business. You know, the Beat Store is just part two. The Beat Store is the value exchange. Okay. Most people skip the traffic part. They don't want to do content. They always talk about ads. They don't want to do content. They don't want to do collabs. They don't want to do free giveaways. They don't want to do free anything. Okay. But that's where the traffic comes from. We have to target keywords. We have to target where people actually are. And then once we know where people actually are, we have to bait them in as if we were hunting, for example. Use bait. What up, little Karimi? Shout out to everybody who's coming back in. Forgive me for all the technical difficulties today earlier. We were doing the most. So it will take a while to build up our audience because YouTube doesn't necessarily tell everybody. That's why I try not to go live too much, because it sends out notifications, and once you get to 3, it stops sending notifications. So we're gonna have to wait for people to naturally find this live stream. But anyhow, the three pillars: traffic, value exchange, customer relations. So again, step 1 is all about traffic. What up, Mayo? Thank you for being so patient with me. Step 1 is traffic. Okay, so traffic is, where are people? If we were hunting, for example, this is, where are the bears? Where are the bears? Are they at the lake? Do they drink water? Are they at the feeding ground? The field? Are the bears in the trees? Are they sleeping? Where's their sleeping zone? Are the bears going to be in climates that they're not naturally in? These are the questions you would ask if you were a hunter. I'm not a hunter, but I'm just saying, if I were a hunter, I would ask those questions. Where would a bear even be? Would he be in this part of the state? Why would I waste my time roaming around the part of the state that the bear's not in? And that's what most people are doing online. They make content that's not relevant to their audience, meaning, and when I say relevance, I'm saying, what's the probability that you'll come across a potential customer in that specific area of the internet? Okay. And we tend to fantasize about, online business more than we actually use data. Axel says, hi, BusyWorks. I've started making beats 1 week ago. I watched some tutorials and I was wondering if you can tell me how and where can I install free plugins. I have a lot of videos on free plugins. It's type in free plugins, BusyWorks Beats. I mean, there's no list of free plugins that I just have off the top of my head. Vital is a cool one people talk about. More so free mixing plugins. My favorite free stuff right now is the Kilohertz Essentials bundle, and it's free. Look for that. Outside of that, I really don't have a bunch of free stuff that I like. Big Dream says, hey sir, big love from India. Shout out to you. Kendrick is here. Son of Lar. Thank y'all for hopping back in. Again, I apologize for all the past technical difficulties in the last 2 live streams. I was trying to bring Dorian from Group 82 up, and I couldn't get the signal for some reason from both sides to work out properly. So my deep, apologies on that one. I hate to waste you guys' time and his time. So I asked him if we can go live on Instagram. I'll confirm with him later to see if he's available, but hopefully so. Monty says, new to beat making, how do you break down the process in your head? What are the steps you go through to come out with the desired beat, if you could forecast or overshadow it? Yeah, there is a framework. And your questions could be business questions today, or it could be music production. But yeah, there is a framework. So there's 9 steps to making a song. The first thing is you want to determine a BPM. Nextly, you want to determine a scale or a key, some people call it. Then you want to move into your chords or your harmony. You're going to write your melody. After that, you're going to do your bass. From there, you're going to do your drums. Now you can mix and match all these, but this is the step. It's a logical workflow. Then from that, you're going to do your vocals, then your mixing, then your mastering. So that's a 9-step process you could follow to always produce a song every single time. Start with your BPM, or the speed of the record. You're going to move into your scale. Okay, that's 2. The chords are number 3. Your melody's number 4. Your bass is 5. Drums 6. Vocal 7. 8 is mixing, and 9 is mastering. Now, the logic behind that is because with the BPM is a frequency. 150 BPM is a actual cycle. It's a measurement. From there, you build out a scale. Your scale is going to be your musical canvas. From this measurement of time, we're now building out probabilities of notes that will be played and understood as harmony and interactive. From there, you build out harmony, because harmony is the foundation for the rest of everything, which is the direction of your melody and your bass. So melody can come from chords, and bass can come from your chord progression. Now from there, we're doing all the music first, because the music should have the rhythm inside of the music. Then we do drums. Now, again, you could do it all at once. You could do the drums first. It depends on what type of producer you are, and if you're using samples. And then from there, once you have all the background music, so to speak, then you do your vocals most of the time. And then you're going to mix everything together once you have everything, and then master everything. So that's my step-by-step process on like how to make a beat every single time. When people ignore that, they get stuck and they get lost in the process. Let me make sure I'm reading you guys' chat. Okay, so Mayo says, how do you get your sample cleared? I was thinking about putting out my music on some streaming platforms, but all my songs included uncleared samples. To be honest with you, it's going to cost you a lot of money that you probably don't have. And I don't know your pockets. I'm not even saying it like that. I'm saying that unless you're doing a major release to where it will make sense to clear a bunch of samples, then I would clear a bunch of samples. Sample clearance could be $2,000, it could be $5,000, it could be $1,500, it could be, you never know the price. There are brokers online. Okay, and also sample clearance can be way higher than that. I'm giving you guys like the fairer numbers, but it's not only how much does it cost to sample clear a sample, it's also, does the actual owner of the copyright want you to put out that type of song over their sample? So you have a lot of friction when it comes to clearing samples. And you have these people called brokers who are the middlemen, so to speak. So what these middlemen do is build like a pseudo library of music that they get pre-approved. I'll say like quote unquote pre-approved music. So for example, if Mayo is a producer and he comes to me, Busy Works Beats, and I have a catalog for, I'm just going to say Michael Jackson to make this simple. Michael Jackson, The Weeknd, and Drake, for example. I'm just making that up. And you come to me because you want to sample Michael Jackson. I, as the broker, would go to Michael Jackson before you even made the beat, and I would say, hey, Michael Jackson, if anybody wants to clear your stuff for this specific track, what's the price? And what are the terms on getting it cleared? Is it majority yes? Is it circumstances where you're going to say no? We're going to have that communication. So it's already preset before you even go to the person about something most of the time. And that's through a broker. There are websites, I forget the exact website, and I don't use these people, so don't listen to me. But if you type in sample clearance, pretty sure they have a whole website called sampleclearance.com, the leading provider of music licensing and sample clearance. It's right there. It's the first search on Google. So it's right at the top of Google for you. Not too mysterious there. But again, it's not for average folks like us. I'm just being straight with you. Most of the time it's going to be out of your budget. This is not legal advice. Okay, let's say I'm the person that you're sampling, and then you sample me and you put out some kind of project. Why would I spend $5,000 of legal fees to chase you down for the $0 you made on the song? That's a waste of money. It's going backwards. It's not like you're an enemy of mine. It's just, so what people do instead of doing all that, the legal back and forth, is they just do a takedown notice, and they usually send it from a lawyer so that it feels more authoritative. It's not because the lawyer has some magical like power. It's just because they want it to look like a threat. So they will make a lawyer send the email with their letterhead on it most of the time. So that's the majority of online stuff. And all that means is that your song has to come off of the platform and then you just can't make money from it. Like, is that going to stop your career? No. I just think people think about sampling way too much. They think that now technically if the song blows up, you know, you're on the hook for, I think 150,000 in damages, only if they did the proper steps. But that's only if your song blows up. And I'm talking about Juice WRLD blows up, not gets 50,000 views on SoundCloud blows up. So that's a risk you have to take. I mean, the reality is nobody's going to waste money chasing down people making pennies. That's the reality. Like, unless the song is really, really, really going, they're not chasing down people like that. Worst thing on YouTube I've seen is just, and if you're unsure, just put it on YouTube. Because what they'll do is they'll do a copyright claim, which is not a copyright strike. This is a copyright claim. And it just means that the money from your video will go to the original owner. So they built like the perfect system for copyright, which it always goes back to the original creator and the money goes to them. That's how it should be, really. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about sampling as much. I think people stress about that way too much. But again, this is not legal advice either. You're taking a risk for sure. But it's not, again, why would I waste my money to chase down somebody making no money? That makes no sense. Komodo says, opinions on people that get boosted a lot by TikTok. Example, Tommy Richmond. If you were in that situation, how would you hold your popularity, since most are just one-hit wonders or two-hit wonders and then disappear? Yeah, there's a video that I put up a while ago with Ty Lopez. He broke it down really well. He's, you know, in short, he's said that the TikTok algorithm is like a casino, and I'm paraphrasing. He said what they said, they got a bunch of smart people in the world, and they said, if we reward random people just like a casino, and you see this person over here hits the jackpot, you think you are going to hit the jackpot. And then the day you hit the actual jackpot, which to you as a beginner content creator might be a 15,000 view video or 30,000 view video or 100,000 even. Okay. Now you think you hit the jackpot. You think you're viral. You think you're huge on TikTok. TikTok knows this. It's creating the jackpot effect. Let's claim it the jackpot effect. Okay. We've just coined a word right now, the jackpot effect on TikTok. And they said, if I can get Komodo to think that he's a celebrity just because he got one video to pop off, and his followers, I think they're going to be celebrities, and then we actually make them pop off, and then they think and then it's this chain of people thinking they're going to be a celebrity because they got one video that went 100,000, and they're manipulating your psychology. The new format, and I'm going to be broad, but then I'll bring it back. Old days of content creation was about who follows you, and it was about demographics, and it was about who was actually on a website, looking up a keyword, search-based. Now we have something called info-based marketing. So infograph marketing, which means these platforms went from a feed to now interest, meaning that they're not going to their feed and actually seeing people they follow anymore. They're going to their feed and seeing their interests. And the way we learn that is through data, Meta's data, let's say it that way. And all the apps you guys, all the little data points that they have on you, they know what you guys like. They know what you look at. Who just got sued by Texas? Was it Apple? No, I think it was Meta. In the news right now, it says Meta just got sued by $1 billion because Texas found out that Meta was using your front cam on your phone to actually see what you guys were looking at. They were scanning your face as you were scrolling through their app. And I told you guys they were doing that before. So even if you don't click on anything, they know what you're interested in. They know they have AI that can read your face. They have AI that can read your breathing patterns. They have AI that can know how fast your heart is racing. They can see if your pupils are dilating to see if you have a natural interest in somebody. If you're aroused, they can see when your what are these called? Pupils, I want to say. When your pupils dilate. When your iris becomes smaller, they know when you're interested. So they can measure all these microscopic data points that you don't even know you're doing. And they're measuring the subconscious mind and your interests. And so that will fill up your explore page on Instagram, because now it's not search based. It's based on, they call it the info graph or the interest graph. And that's what gave rise to a lot of newer creators having an opportunity on TikTok. Because instead of the traditional publishers having all the power and the distributors of content, they went, okay, instead of us ranking authority of your website just because you've been in the game for 20 years. We're going to rank people's interests, and does your content actually match their interests? So that's the new game. And Gary Vee maps it out way better than I just explained it. There's a book called Day Trading Attention by Gary Vee. Very well done so far. I've only read a couple pages, but it's very well done so far. And he talks about how the algorithms are changing to favor interests now. The same way, think of it this way, because that sounds complicated, but in reality, you'll understand this example. So the way the internet changed, basically the algorithms, is imagine you have country lines. Like, what are country lines even? It's some, I almost said white man. In America is a white person that just decided to claim this much farmland. Okay, and he chiseled out Nebraska from Utah, and he chiseled out Idaho from Iowa, and he chiseled out, you know, what else? California from Oregon, and he chiseled out Texas from New Mexico. And it's just imaginary lines that somebody drew on a piece of paper that says, this is my property. Because most people back in the day were working on farms. So the only way we really had power is if I own the farmland, if I own the land that the people worked on, you would have to work on my land, which would make me powerful, because power equals work over time. The more work I have done on my land, in that case, it means I gain power. That was the old days. Okay, so think of the internet going from geographical lines, metaphorically speaking, to now we're a producer nation, and you guys could be in Denmark, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Poland. You guys could be in Japan. You guys could be in Texas. You guys could be in New York. There's no one place that we're at physically on the map. We're all over the place. That's called an interest based nation in that case. And so the internet is moving towards interest based. There's no like one place you go for this and one place you go for that. Now it's everybody around the world, but it's based on these pockets of engagement on an interest. So that's how it's moving. And that's why TikTok opened the floodgates, because they, behind the scenes, you know, there was a secret agreement made on these social media platforms, and it was to govern the growth of all the content creators, to force people to buy into the ad program. Once TikTok came out, they took away that little governor. Because if you guys ever use Facebook, you'll know this. You'll post on Facebook and it'll hit like 100 views, and then they're like, to boost this post, just pay us $100 to boost it to the other people that already follow you. So they're holding your own audience hostage, basically, to where your own audience that you've gotten from their platform and you've galvanized, you can't even talk to them unless you pay money to Facebook. That's why people hated Facebook and Meta. And, you know, TikTok came around and it's like, look, we're not only going to give you access to your followers, we're going to give you access to everybody around the world who likes this specific thing. And we're not going to put that algorithmic governor on your channel. And that's why TikTok forced the hand of all these other social media platforms, because they weren't in the cabal of people trying to manipulate and extract the most money out of us. They were from China. So China was not necessarily aligned with the interest of Meta and the interest of, you know, even Google, you know, all these different platforms. Now, Google, in my opinion, YouTube was built for discovery. So this is one of the American platforms that actually has I don't think they're governing your stuff so that you pay to get seen by more people. I think they actually were the founders of pushing people more towards the interest graph, especially with the homepage. So long story short, to answer your question, opinions on people that get boosted a lot by TikTok, it's all a casino game to them, to TikTok. They're just trying to get the next person to believe that they too can be the celebrity if they just post more. And that's the whole game of TikTok. Because what is the most valuable thing to TikTok? Content. They need content. So how do you get people to do content for free? You keep feeding them the dream like a pimp. You say, hey, you too can be the greatest. You know, I don't even know what pimps call girls, but you too can be the greatest girl on the block. If you just believe in yourself, you keep going, you flip all these tricks, you too can be like, you know, the president's wife. If you just keep grinding at this blade and you just keep, you're going to make millionaire. That's what they keep telling the girls, right? Because they want them to fall into the dream of becoming a millionaire and becoming all successful and all this type of stuff. Same thing with TikTok. TikTok is, they're not saying that to the users, but they're creating the illusion that you guys can be successful. And so you keep putting out content. And how does TikTok raise their value? The more content they get, the more supply, and the more demand, the more eyeballs they get, the higher the ads they could charge. And that's how they make their money. And they also make more money when you guys try to compete. Okay, because ads is one person trying to compete against person two, spending more money than them. So you're always competing up the price of the ad for a certain keyword. So anyhow, that's how it works behind the scenes. Big Dream says, sir, I want to study music production on FL. So what is the roadmap? Excuse me. The roadmap is go to busyworksbeats.com/FL Studio, because I have a free course on FL Studio and it will guide you through all the questions that you have about that. Kwame says, quick and easy tips on how to make hard chords, chill chords, or even memorable chords. Nothing complicated. Still learning piano. I mean, that's a very big answer in your small question. I don't even know what you mean by hard chords, but let's pull up a piano, for example. What piano can I use here? Let's use Flex. I'll just show you a couple things and then we'll move on, because there's, chords are in an infinite deep dive. So here we have the Steinway from, I know you guys can't see the screen, I'm gonna switch it in a second. We have the Steinway from Flex, Steinway D. So here, here's what most people do. I'm gonna show you a couple things you can do with your chords. Sometimes you don't need new chords. Sometimes you just need to understand how to make your one chord sound better. So instead of just a simple triad like this, try taking the bottom note, pulling it down an octave, and then thickening that root note up twice. Even so, pulling it down even further and doing something like this. Oh, you know what? I was wondering why the audio was weird. Here you go. Let's do it again. Why is it doing that? Oh, it's going through the master. My fault, y'all. Hold up. Let me move my microphone. All right, y'all couldn't hear me. Okay, so that was my bad on the mixing there. Okay, so now so that's one thing to know about chords, is just sometimes you need to thicken up the root note. Another kind of understanding of a chord, and I'm just giving you little bite-sized things to do. Another thing you could do with a chord is make a seventh chord, for example, D, F, A, C, but instead of playing D the normal way like this, you play it with a different instrument. So instead of playing that piano, you might play a bass, and we're gonna pull it down an octave. So let's pull up Flex, for example, and let's pull up some kind of bass guitar, and let's do, I don't even know all these names of these basses, so let's do this one. Okay, so regardless of the sound quality, which is kind of weird, we're gonna take this bottom note and we're gonna swap it for the bass. So this is called arranging your tone, or voicing, some people will call it. So we're still playing D minor 7, but the root note is being played by the bass, and the piano is carrying the top of the chord harmony. So this is another way of thinking about harmonizing. And one last, technique you could use in your chords is understanding voicing. So instead of doing, a D minor 7 chord like this, what if you took the third, you raised it up an octave? And what if you reinforce that root note? Now you have a really soulful sound simply by raising the third. This is called revoicing. Now I'm going to quickly move through because this is a little music theory and ease, but it goes D minor, C major, then we're going to go F major, and then come back down to E minor. And then I'll show you one technique you could use. This is like a Tyler the Creator type technique, which is, now that we've revoiced the chord raising that third, we're going to take our tonic and then we're going to copy it. Let's cut this. Let's just use a cut right here. So we're going to take the tonic in the fifth. So this is E and B. We're going to pull those down a half step. If it's a minor chord at the end, we're going to pull it down a half step. If it's a major chord, we're going to pull it up a half step. So here's what it sounds like. So simply understanding voicing is probably going to take you to the next level with chords. I don't know what level you're at with chords, but voicing is probably the next level. Also too, with chords, you want to think about secondary dominants and dominant chords. And I covered this in my music theory magic course. Just don't have enough time to really go over everything right now. But if you guys go to busyworksbeats.com/music theory magic, just use the code music theory, one word, for 50% off all my music theory courses at the moment. And you guys can get that knowledge because it goes deep. Secondary dominance, dominant chords, the tonic, 2-5-1, you know, intervallic resolution. It goes pretty deep. And that's something I can't cover in 5 seconds to answer your question. So keep bringing the questions. We're just getting started. Thank you, Blungfi. I just saw your Blungfi. Do you think type beats are valid in 2024? I'm gonna get to that in a little bit. I'm answering everybody's question one by one. So far we're at Kwame. We just covered his question, how to make hard or chill chords. Now chill chords, I would look at 9th chords and 11th chords and try also omitting certain notes like the 7th or the 3rd. Try omitting notes or removing notes out of a chord. Manish says, how do you keep your job interesting for yourself to do it for as long as you have? Really just challenges. Like I'm a person who needs to be challenged, mentally speaking, when it comes to my work stuff. So what I'll do is I'll try a new genre that I haven't studied before. Like my fiance, shout out to Day Day, you guys know her as Day Day, was talking about house music last night. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to study house music. I'm going to study EDM. So I challenged myself to study EDM concepts because I don't know everything about EDM. I don't make it every day. So things like opening the Serum manual, reading page by page the Serum manual, things like which drum kits do they use, and just doing research. Research is the thing that opens my brain up to all new excitement. Just realizing that I don't know anything makes me excited because then I'm like, everything is to be learned, and that's the fun part. That's why I have over 60 plus music production courses at busyworksbeats.com. People think music production is just drag and drop a kick and a snare. I'm like, this stuff is fun. You can go very, very, very deep into music production. And that's what makes it fun. If it was boring, like just dragging and dropping loops, that's not fun at all. Dollar says, Beat King, Never Leave Houston on a Sunday album. Got some good beats. Shout out to Beat King. Monty says, thank you. I appreciate the breakdown. What would you say is the difference between chords and melodies? I believe you said it, but I didn't catch it. The difference between chords and melodies, the true etymology, if you go all the way back in time, was a chord or a harmony is 2 notes or more played usually at the same time. A melody is more of a, that's a great question. Let me think about this. Think about melody as like the words on a page, but chords are like the page itself. That's how I think about it. Like chords are your canvas, your musical canvas, and the melody is what you would do to express those chords over, or to express ideas over top of the chords. So in my opinion, that's my easiest metaphor about how I think about melodies and chords. Again, chords are the page itself. Melody are the words. Is the words? I don't know the proper grammar. Melody would be the words on the page. And that's how I think about it. But melody is usually, and I said usually because it's not always the case, usually an octave higher than your harmony. That's not always true though. This is a good starting point. Sometimes people break apart their chords and they play melodies, but they're playing a chord, but it sounds like a melody, but they're really playing chords. And that's why, you know, it gets interweaved at a certain point. Playlist for FL production. You want another playlist for FL stuff? I think I have one now that has like 600 videos in it. It probably is a little heavy for a beginner. Monty says, does a song necessarily have to only be in one key or scale? No, you can do what's called key modulation. You can go outside the key on purpose. This is what I just talked about with the chords, for example. You could do a 2-5-1 chord progression that can take you out of your specific scale. And you could do what's called secondary dominant chords, and that will help you go out of scale. Here's what it sounds like. It sounds complicated, but when you hear it, you're like, oh. So here's what it sounds like. So let's make a 2-5-1. You guys have seen me do this 1,000,001 times. But like they say, the man who practices 1,000 punches once is weaker than the man who practices one punch 1,000 times. So we will practice one punch 1,000 times until we truly get it. Okay, so here's the dominant ninth chord. We have a minor 7. And then we're going to move into a dominant ninth chord, and then we're going to move into a major ninth chord. Now, technically, we're in the C major scale. And what we're going to do with this chord progression that I'm showing you guys is we're going to purposely go out of the scale, C major. To make this blend a little bit more, let's just copy this over. So we have 2-5-1. And when I say 2-5-1, we're talking about scale degrees here. And now we're going to go to what's called the relative scale of the C major scale. So the relative scale of the C major scale is the A natural minor scale. How do you get there? You take the root note of your major scale and you count down 3 notes, 1, 2, 3. And then you start there using the same exact notes of the major scale. And that's your relative minor. Because I think about major as happy, quote unquote, and sadness as lowness. Or excuse me, minor as sad. So you go down to sadness, you go up to happiness. So if you wanted to do the relative scale of A natural minor, the relative major scale, you would go from happiness, or you would go from sadness up to happiness. So you would count up 3 notes. That's how I memorized going back and forth between major and minor. Anyhow, we have the A natural minor 9th chord, and what we're going to do is make this a secondary dominant, meaning that this dominant chord is not of the C major scale. It's of the A natural minor scale. And we're using it so that we're resolved back to the tonic of A natural minor and not C major. So the dominant chord is super important because this will lead the ear into the next chord, and the next chord can take us out of the key. So here's what it sounds like in context. I gotta get this rhythm right. Let me just run that back. I did that at the wrong tempo, but whatever. Okay, so that's 2-5-1. We did what's called a tritone substitution. So this is the 2 chord, meaning the 2nd scale degree, into the dominant scale degree, into the tonic of C major. And then from here, we went from the 2 of C major into the dominant of a different key, in this case A natural minor, and then we land on the 1 of A natural minor. So we're out of key right here, but it sounds amazing. So that's how you can go in and out of key pretty quickly using chords. There's another philosophy called intervallic resolution and key modulation and modal interchange, but I covered that in my music theory magic course. So it goes deeper, but I'm just showing you the tip of the iceberg there. Sebastian says, funny because I'm watching a show called Love Undercover, and one of the dudes' names is Sebastian, funny enough. Hey, which plugins do you think are the best generators, mostly for trap and hip hop? I'm gonna say my own plugin, to be honest with you, because I don't really mess with plugins. So if you go to busyworksbeats.com/Hercules, here's my plugin. It's my favorite one because I made it. So in here I have 340 sounds. It's a VST plugin. Okay, it loads up in any DAW that has VST support. Okay, on PC and Mac. If you're on Mac, you need to go into your settings, turn on the privacy security tab, and make sure you allow the program to run. And also when you're scanning for your plugins in the options, make sure you go to manage plugins and then turn off where it says verify plugins. Okay. So we have a ton of sounds in here, but sound sources aren't really, I don't have a plugin that is my favorite. My Chord Kronos is probably my favorite piece of gear. Chord Kronos has my favorite sounds. Now, as far as the best plugins that I've heard on the computer, Roland Cloud is probably the best suite of sounds. Also too, UVI Sonic Pass is pretty affordable for you guys, and that will have a lot of retro analog stuff in there for you. So I would say best start as far as anything, Roland Cloud, you know, and then the UVI stuff if you want to pay monthly on that for synthesizers. Notice I'm not saying Arturia, okay? And no shade to Arturia, because we worked with them in the past. And then I would say my plugin, just off the strength of BusyWorks Beats. You got to plug your own plugin. And then Nexus, actually. I forgot about Nexus. Nexus is a nice suite of sounds. Some people go with Expand 2, but my ear doesn't always like rush to Expand 2. And if you're really balling, Omnisphere, but Omnisphere isn't what people think it is. I think people think Omnisphere is what Roland Cloud is. So that's my suggestion for you as far as like good sounds for hip hop. And of course, there's like other stuff like Serum, for example, if you're into sound design, but those other plugins will cover most of what you're trying to do, probably. Silo in the Soloverse says, have you ever produced the beat for another artist? I don't chase artists. I think of myself as the artists. So I don't chase artists. I work with brands, billion-dollar brands. I've worked with Avid, which is a billion-dollar brand. Let me switch cams here. I gotta clear my throat real quick. Hold on. I didn't want to do that in the mic. But yeah, work with Avid, billion-dollar brand, the Near Protocol and Web3. If you guys are familiar, they created the base layer for a whole blockchain. And who else is a billion-dollar company? Avid. Did I say Avid? Yeah, Avid, who made Pro Tools. Near Protocol, Sweetwater, who's a billion-dollar retailer, and then Razor Music as well, alongside of Metro Boom and Murder Beats, Sunny Digital, Anderson .Paak. Who else was on that campaign? Dead Mouse. Okay, so I'm chasing brand deals more than I'm chasing artists around who don't even treat producers right. And my thing is, you guys got to understand my lifestyle needs. I have a child now, and I'm not trying to have to fly to LA to do sessions and fly to ATL to do a session and like spend 25 hours on a beat just for an artist to say skip. Like, no, thank you. I'd rather just make my own music and put it out myself. So I look at myself as the artist and producer and business person all in one. I don't look for outside validation like that. I'm just different though. Because once you meet celebrities and you realize they're just people, sometimes even dumber than you, you're like, why did I put this person on a pedestal? It's not very admiring once you meet people most of the time. What is the number one thing you would advise to a beginner producer? The number one thing is, don't overly consume. So as a beginner, you think you're gonna start today and become Metro Boomin tomorrow. And that is a gift and a curse. It's a gift because you'll have the motivation to do the next step, but it's a curse because in reality, if you take on too much information in one day, you'll have a lot of stress and resistance, and the subconscious mind will actually block you from moving forward because it considers that activity too expensive for your physiology. So in short, taking on too much can actually make you go backwards. But we all think that we could just do everything in one day because we're just crazy like that. So instead, I would say as a beginner, try focusing on 1 to 2 things per day, just 1 to 2 things, or spend 1 to 2 hours on a concept every single day. That's it. New concept every single day, 1 to 2 hours. That's it. Don't try to like learn everything about music theory in 1 second. It's just going to overwhelm your brain. Ali says, I started making music 4 years ago. Hold on, let me see something. Ali says, I started making music 4 years ago in FL Studio Trial, and now I use Ableton, but I am so bad at making beats that I just quit. Got any tips? Because I only try to make sample beats because I don't do melodies. I used to make a lot of sample beats. The one thing that's great about samples is that it will teach you how to improve your music because you'll realize these are songs that people already love. So what do they love about it? Do they love the bass line? You'll start to subconsciously absorb what a good bass line sounds like or what a good melody sounds like simply by understanding all the songs you're sampling. You'll have a big catalog of techniques. Like, I can't really explain it. Like, if you listen to more music, you'll hear like little riffs like doo-doo-doo-doo, and you might do that later 2 weeks from now in a random beat. Or you might listen to a rock song and hear that they do something like or like, that was a bad example. Like they might do something like that. And you might do that in your song. So even though it's from rock, you might incorporate it into your song. So you're going to create a unique style by just absorbing more information. The answer to you though is that Ableton is just, I don't really find inspiration from Ableton to make beats, even myself. After training all these people, Ableton just has a very sterile, non-creative interface. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't make me want to create. So it might just be the fact that you're on Ableton, and I don't want to bash their company, but I am never inspired in Ableton to make great music. It's just, it looks like, I don't know. it just makes me think that my ideas are locked down. Maybe it's better when I have more loops and stuff, but I noticed that Ableton's really good for audio stuff, not necessarily MIDI stuff. So hopefully that answers your question. You said you're so bad at it. Well, stop comparing yourself to everybody else, I think, is the problem. You probably play your beats and then you go listen to like Kaytranada. Like, just don't do that to yourself. You're trying to, it's like a baby trying to compare themselves to the world Olympic athlete. Like, of course the baby is not going to be as fast as a world Olympic athlete. Consumers in a chokehold, yeah. Excuse me, y'all. So I'm going top to bottom. If you just hopped in, leave any question you want in the chat. We'll hop to it. Right now I'm at Kwame. So Kwame says, let me read a little bit faster. Why do or did producers still release songs even without clearing the sample? Because again, they don't have the money it takes to clear the sample with the person, or they don't even know who the sample is, or they don't even know how to clear a sample. Even if they knew who the owner was, they don't know how to get in contact with them. So there's a lot of reasons why people might put out the song without clearing it with the original owner. I just don't think it's as deep as people think. Now, if you're submitting for sync licenses, sync opportunities, or you're trying to get into the world of working with the majors, then you have to tell them the samples you're using. You're not going to get away with submitting a beat that has a sample in it to a label. Like, that's a major label. I mean, they're going to comb through it and know. I think even the platforms that they distribute on tell them that it has a sample before they put it out to the DSPs. So they have AI to help them identify songs and stuff. It's a technology called PEX, P-E-X, that they run their content through. But that's behind the scenes stuff. Which World says list all plugins you need to make music, free only. I mean, I know y'all want like this smorgasbord of free stuff that sounds good. There is not. I'm not going to lie to y'all like everybody else. Everybody else is going to lie to your face and tell you you can make the equivalent of so-and-so with X free plugin. It might be true, but you're spending 30 minutes to do it. So you're really wasting the most valuable thing, which is time, to try to mimic something else. So in my opinion, there are no good free plugins like that. If anything, Kilohertz is the only thing I can recommend right now. Kilohertz Essentials. So that's the only free plugin suite that I can recommend. Now, as far as generators, I've never met a free. You got to think about it from a designer's point of view. Who would spend months of time making a plugin, sometimes years, just to give it away for free? Like, they're not going to do that. So I don't really have any free stuff for you. If anything, look in the Contact Player. Maybe you could find some stuff in there. Labs maybe, but outside of that, I really don't see people making free plugins that sound good. But again, I'm just me. I don't want to sound like a critic. David E says, good afternoon, busyworksbeats.com. I'm an inspiring artist and trying to release music via NFTs. I'm not very experienced with that, but wanted to know your thoughts on it, and if you would. 1 out of 2. Let's get to the second part. If I would know if they were released as NFTs or whatever, can they still be released on all DSPs? Yes is the answer. Or can a music video come out for it or something? NFTs, you're not necessarily selling the copyrights unless, and I haven't done this ever, unless you put it in the smart contract to transfer the ownership of the copyright, which is a legal agreement. I've only seen NFTs used to where you now own the NFT, and the NFT has a limited digital supply. So the whole thing that we were excited about with NFTs was that you could, right now when you put out music, anybody can copy and paste it 1,000,000 times. So quite literally, the supply of music is infinite. And we all know the price reflects the supply versus demand. So if the supply goes up infinitely, there's no amount of demand that can match the supply, which means the price is zero. And what NFTs try to solve is, how can we limit the supply? And they did this through the blockchain, because you can't just duplicate the blockchain components 1,000,000 times. Now you can technically take the MP3 or the wave and duplicate that, but you can't duplicate the actual hashing on the blockchain. And I'm using broad words because I forget all the technical terms for it. So because you can't technically copy the NFT, which is minted onto a blockchain in a definitive space, that's what we were selling, is that definitive space, not necessarily the actual music itself. Some people traded copyrights. You know, you can go to a website called royaltyexchange.com and kind of snoop around there, because some people try to use NFTs for finance, meaning like the money that came in from a song, they would automate the revenue to go to the owners of the NFT. That gets really complicated, and I'm not experienced in that world. But it was going to make a lot of millionaires in music, but you know who stopped it? The music industry, because they don't want you guys to be free. They want you to be slaves for the rest of your life to their systems. And so they never really backed it like that. So that's why NFTs didn't move the way they should have moved. But literally, it was going to create multi-millionaires, billionaires from the music industry. It was going to create a whole new renaissance that we've never seen before. Because the NFTs, the reason it was so exciting, it was turning your song into a stock. Imagine, you know, you could just invest in Logan Paul, for example, or whoever. Like, just imagine you could do that, knowing that he's going to be a super celebrity. Like, if you put $1 in, you get 100 later. Like, of course, everybody's going to rush to these creators. They're going to just, it's only so much money flowing through NFTs and music, but the music industry didn't really back it. And they didn't let their artists go to NFTs. You saw what happened to Tory Lanez when he tried to do the NFT he sold 1 million copies in a minute. And you saw what happened to people who tried to buck against the system. So the music industry is just, they're here to make slaves, and that's how I see it. Kwame says, what is the legal process for clearing a sample? Go to sampleclearance.com or whatever it was. Google sample clearance, and there's a website, sampleclearance.com, and they will guide you through the steps. Okay. Can they still be released? So the answer for your question, David E, is yes, you can still release your music everywhere else. You own the copyright. You didn't trade that during the NFT. People are just owning the ownership of the NFT itself, the shell around your thing. They're not owning the thing. They're owning the shell around the thing. Ali says, can you please, now that's in the general default. Now, if you have a smart contract and all that, it's different. Ali says, can you please create an Ableton tutorial for Drake underwater type beats? Thank you for your request. Bank Boys TV says, after you're done making chord progressions, what would be your next move? Again, there's a 9-step process for making a song. It's start with the BPM, pick a scale, or some people call it a key. Write out your chords. Then you're gonna, then you're gonna move into your melody. Then you're gonna move into your bass. Then you're gonna move into your drums, then you're going to move into your vocals, then you're going to move into your mixing, and then you're going to move into mastering. So that's the next step if you were to follow that process. Mandeep says, what is the basic plugins to use in Masterbus for trap beats? If you guys want an all-in-one plugin, I would look at Ozone. They have the best stuff as far as quality. Trying to think, what do I actually use though? Yeah, Ozone has the best like all-in-one solutions for you guys. That's my answer to you. Then you can get into all the nuanced boutique stuff, but Ozone has the most straightforward thing. FRD says, hey, can you tell me how to promote my music when I'm low on budget? I love your work, by the way. You have to redefine what the word promote means, because a lot of people mix up the word marketing with promotion with the word advertising and sales. Okay, so promotion does not necessarily equate to sales. Promotion just means you want to be seen over a period of time. That's it. That's the only result you get, is to be seen over a period of time. It's the equivalent of you driving down a highway and people driving by a billboard. They either saw it or they didn't see it. You're not calling the number on the billboard. You're not taking action on the billboard. You're just driving by it. That's all promotion is. Now, to me, promotion is a waste of money when people say promotion. Anytime you hear people use the word promote or promotion, they don't know anything about marketing and they're trying to take your money. Trust me on that. Anybody who uses the word promote wants to take your money because they want you to feel like you're doing something when you're really not. Now, I come from a world of direct response marketing, meaning that for all the dollars that I put out there to advertise to you, I'm getting a result. It's not just to spend money to spend money. Okay, so To answer your question though, you need to be on all of the song feedbacks, like mine, for example, every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. You need to be one of the first people there so that you get played on the live stream in our Discord. The link's at the top of the chat. We go live every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time for song feedback. You need to be on everybody's song feedbacks, whether it's mine, whether it's Curtis King's, whether it's who even does feedbacks. I don't even know. Whoever does feedbacks, you need to be on their live stream. Whether it's Kavi's, whether it's a beat battle, you need to be literally everywhere where somebody's going to play your music for free. Outside of that, you know, low budget, don't worry about the budget because the budget's not going to do anything. You need to worry about doing content, and you need to put your energy behind making content that has your music embedded into the content. And then you need to tell people in the content to go play your music. Now, making content is a whole world of stuff that you need to learn. I have a course at busyworksbeats.com. It's on YouTube, and it's all my secrets on how I got 600,000 subscribers at the time. Now we're literally double that. So when I made that course, I've literally doubled my audience on YouTube, thanks to you guys and thanks to all the techniques. By applying everything that I taught in the course, I've literally doubled the audience to 1.2 million. So you got to study like deeply about what is content. And there's no short answer for that. You got to go to my website, look up the YouTube course. Ali says, busy, is it possible? If it's possible, I would really love if you made more Ableton tutorials. I might get into it for the EDM stuff. Did you have recommendations for online school to learn making beats? Go to busyworksbeats.com. I couldn't recommend anybody else outside of Make Pop Music. He's fire. I really can't vouch for a lot of people teaching music though. Make Pop Music, and that's really it. As far as like music production stuff, he can actually teach. He's an educator. He went to school for education. That's why he's such a good teacher. Like, I'm a natural born teacher. A lot of people are trying to like make money online. They're not really great teachers. They'll just say, you know, beat breakdown. I'm like, you need to start from scratch, sir. I don't want to break down. I want to learn from scratch. Kim Hotep says, out of your programs, which ones do you suggest? Music Theory Essentials is my most foundational course. Everything else kind of wraps around that. So my Music Theory Essentials is the go-to. And again, you could use the code Music Theory to get 50% off. And we also have payment plans, so you don't have to pay all at once. You can pay in monthly installments. And as long as you complete your monthly installments, you'll have access to it for a lifetime. So it's just go to busyworksbeats.com/Music Theory Essentials. Did I spell that right? Essentials. It's a long keyword. But then again, use the code. Let me show you what it looks like so y'all don't think I'm capping. I don't cap like other folks like Kurt Cap. I'm gonna put out that documentary, Curtis Kahn, the DI Liar. Wait till I show y'all the documentary. So if we go to all courses, we're gonna go to Music Theory courses. We're gonna go to Music Theory Essentials. And you could pay all at once, or you could pay in installments of 4 payments of $39.99, whatever. We're gonna hit purchase. On the next page, click where it says enter coupon, and then type in the words Music Theory lowercase, all one word. Hit apply, and then now it's only $19.99 for 4 months, which is half the price. So that way it's not like taxing y'all to death. It's $19.99 a month for 4 months, and that's only if you choose to continue. So let's say you don't want to continue, you don't have to keep paying on it. But that thing is, you won't have lifetime access to the course. So that's how we do that. Mafio says, excuse me, what's the best way to learn Ken Carson chord progressions? You need to learn what's called perfect fifths, and it's very simple. So take whatever your note is and then count up 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Take that note and then pull it down an octave. There's your Ken Carson. Now, this is called quintal harmony technically. Pardon me, y'all. I gotta clear my throat again. Jeez, hold up. Technically, this is called quintal harmony, where we're playing a root note, the perfect fifth, and then that perfect fifth we're playing down an octave. So that's going to give you what's called the perfect fifth. Usually it's played with the guitar. kind of hard to hear. And then now you're just listening to that top note. And just repeat. You could swap that sound out for a synthesizer. It doesn't have to be a guitar. But that's called quintal harmony. That's the essential music theory behind all the Rage chords and melodies. Now Yeat is different. It's not quintal harmony. He uses what's called quartal harmony. And the main difference between Yeat chords is that instead of counting up to 7, you're going to count up to 5, which is called a perfect fourth. And then just copy and paste that. That's, in short, how to make chord progressions like King Carson and them. Operculum. Welcome. He said, when I said hard chords, I meant the ones that go hard. I don't know what that means to you. That could be anything. It's not the chords that go hard, it's the sound that goes hard. So to me, your question isn't phrased properly. But to answer your question, try minor chords moving into suspended second chords. That might give you the tone you're looking for. But the key though is to stack up that root note down an octave. That's going to give you the hardness, is when you thicken up that bass by copying and pasting that root note down an octave or two. So again, me and you could have totally different definitions for the word hard. Bobby is here. What up, Bobby? Design says, hey, for making trap beats, Ableton versus FL Studio, what will be the better choice? In my opinion, with the new FL Studio 2024, FL Studio 2024, they have a lot of things that make the trap beat making process way faster, like note repeat, just chord progression tools, arpeggiators. I would say FL. DX says, what dB do you usually set a parallel track to when mixing? I like sitting at around -36. I don't use parallel tracks for my mix bus. And I don't have any dB things that I follow. When I'm thinking of dB, the only time I think about dB is if I'm cutting volume or adding volume. I work in increments of 3 dB. So if I'm cutting, I'll cut at 3 dB. If I'm boosting, I'll boost at 3 dB. Unless it needs to be boosted more, then I'll do 6. If it needs to be boosted more, then I'll do 9. It's increments of 3. So that's how I work when it comes to mixing most of the time. Ryan says, should I simplify my melody when the drums come in? No, I wouldn't do it all the time, because here's what happens. Your song will open up with high energy, and then when the verse comes, it goes low energy. And that kind of takes away the vibe as a rapper and artist. We don't want low energy throughout the verse. It makes it harder for us to do our job half the time. So I don't consider myself a rapper. I'm just saying, when I rap over my own beats, or hear other people's beats, I should say, like song feedbacks every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, when you guys send in your beats, a beat will be going hard, and then I'm about to freestyle over it, and the beat starts getting like soft and loses so much energy because people take out all the energy. So to me, keep the energy high. If the beat is high energy, keep the energy high throughout the beat. Only lower the energy when we're going to a breakdown or like a change up or the intro or outro. I wouldn't lower the energy throughout the beat. Zenith says, you got any good recommendations for books on music? Let me see. I was given a list by, Travis Marsh, who plays 12 instruments. And he gave me a bunch of books. So I feel like I'm missing some. I'll just say them. Hold on, here's one. I'll type it in the chat. So one's called The Handbook for Sound Engineers. This thing looks like a freaking Bible. It's like 1,000 pages or plus. It's a huge book. Handbook for Sound Engineers. That's a good one. It's freaking massive. But that's more so teaching you the concepts behind a microphone and mixing and like the physics of it all. So it gets very mathy very quickly. And in my opinion, that book is built for people who want to build instruments like a microphone, or build a guitar pedal, or build like the people who make the stuff. It's not really for people who are trying to learn how to mixing, but you can learn a lot about the technical book stuff around the physics of mixing in that book. Another one, which I don't have on hand, is going to be, this one was again sent by Travis Marsh, The Jazz Harmony Book by David Berkman. Okay. Another one is called Arranging. Now I haven't read the Arranging book. Arranging Music for the Real World by Vince Corozine, I guess. Corozine. Another one that he recommended was The Audio Expert. This one's a good book. Everything You Need to Know About Audio. This one's a very good book. And all these can be found in PDF form, by the way. The Audio Expert, Everything You Need to Know About Audio. Then you have another one called Harmonic Experience by W.A. Matthew. So I know everybody can't afford these right now, but get what you could do if you can't afford it right now, go to a site called Libgen and then look for the PDF version of these books. And then if you can afford it, you know, then you guys can go buy the actual physical copy. But I know a lot of you guys can't afford knowledge right now, which is, I will never shun somebody against knowledge. 20th, because we all know as teachers that eventually once you get your money up, you will invest. It's just you probably don't have the money right now. All right, so 20th Century Harmony by, I can't make out the name here. It says Creative something. Oh, Vincent Perchetti. Hold on, let me see what my son's doing. Hold on. What are you doing? What you doing? You want to come on TV? Chunky head. Here's Leo. Say hey, hey. You want to see yourself? Hopefully he doesn't hit the end stream button. Hold on. Let me double click here. There you go. That's you. That's you. He's like, let me type to the chat. Let me talk to the chat. All right, so one book's called 20th Century Harmony by Vincent Perchetti. I can't type it right now, and that's the last book that Travis Marsh gave me as far as books for music production and music theory and sound engineering. So there's a book list for you. Shout out to Travis Marsh. Again, he's a GOAT. He produced for Drake. He's just a masterful instrumentalist. It's insane. Where you going, Chuggy? Best laptop for music production? I don't know, but somebody told me in the chat one time, they're like, look, just get an HP or a Dell. And then he says something about the RAM, and I forgot. So he said people overspend when it comes to laptops. I'll let him kind of float around. Now, worst case, he likes to press my on and off button on my interface, so hopefully you just see an arm going. Thank you. He is the funnest thing in the world. Excellent course portfolio. Thank you, Aries. So I'm trying to get through your questions as fast as possible. We have a lot of people here, so I'm going my fastest through the chat. Rita's J Paula says, oh yeah, I answered that one. Falzan says, I was just wondering what EQs are or how to use them. In short, EQs just technically what they do is they shape harmonics. I'll show you guys. Let me give you guys a little quick rundown on what an EQ actually does. So once you think about an EQ in this way, you'll stop making it complicated. But first, you need to see sound. A lot of people can't understand music because they can't see it. Like when you begin to see sound, you'll be like, oh, that's what it's doing. So what I'll do here is pull up Serum. We're going to pull up this plugin called Wave Candy so we could actually see the waveform. And we're going to switch it to Spectrum mode so that you guys can see. So here's a sawtooth. It's all of the, let me do one thing here. Let's turn the resolution up. So I won't torture you guys to death about these harmonics. What I'll do is I'll mute the output, but we'll be able to see the input. So here is a sawtooth. And what we'll do is we'll load up an EQ. All we're doing with the EQ is either chiseling or enhancing the harmonics of a sound. The EQ does not boost anything that doesn't exist. It's either enhancing what already exists or attenuating it, making it go down in volume. So as you guys can see, a sawtooth is just a bunch of horizontal lines. Now, I'm going to move this over here to the left so we can see. So what we're going to do, let's do a low pass filter, for example, and you're going to slowly see these higher frequencies dissipate or disappear, I should say, as I go lower and lower. So what we're doing is we're getting rid of upper harmonics. So I'm adding this low pass filter. Wait, let me make sure this plugin's even on. Give me a second. Oh, you know what? I have Wave Candy. That's why. I didn't have the plugins in the right order. Let me turn off my mic for a second, y'all. All right, so now when I move my low pass filter, what we're doing is we're taking out the upper harmonics of a sound. So again, an EQ does not add anything that's not there, and it does not subtract anything that's not there. It only works with stuff that's there. So we're just reshaping what are called harmonics. So as you can see, the graph is starting to look darker and darker and darker because we're taking out those higher frequencies using what's called a filter in this case. So it's getting rid of the frequencies above a certain point at a certain gradient of slope, it's called. So what if I change the slope? So this is a 12 dB per octave. What if I put it at 48 dB per octave? Now it's going to be a little bit sharper. So if I do this again, instead of it being like that gradient, I don't know if you guys can see it on your computers, but it's a gradient. It goes from orange to purple. Now it's going to look like a straight hard line as opposed to a gradient. The higher I put the cutoff dB per octave. So if I do brick wall, for example, it's cutting everything above a certain point without any exception. And so it's going to look more jagged like this. So again, an EQ just enhances what's already there, or it takes away what's already there. It's not going to add anything that's not there. Now we're getting into, I'm generalizing because technically we could add what's called a resonance, but that's not really important. So what we're going to do now is boost the harmonics. And now you're going to see a more dense line going through my EQ. So you're going to see this very bright yellow line because this is where I'm boosting at 30 dB. Now I'm being like super exaggerated. I'm exaggerating it so you guys can see. So I'm going to do a sweep, frequency sweep. So that's where I'm boosting, is that like line that you guys are seeing. So all I'm doing is enhancing what's already there. I'm not adding anything that's not there. I'm just boosting at specific points. And so that's the goal of the EQ, is just to figure out what parts of the sound suck, which parts of the sound are good. How do I enhance the good stuff? How do I take the stuff away that sucks? That's pretty much it. But again, you're not adding anything that's not there with the EQ. You can only work with what's already there in the EQ. Hopefully that made sense to you. But once you visually see sounds, you're like, oh, that's what it's doing. It's just taking away the stuff at the top and getting rid of, you're like, oh. So you have to visually see music, in my opinion. What's the hardest genre for me to make? Probably something I would have to play by hand. So I would assume like some kind of deep ballad type, sonata type stuff. I can't play piano to that level just yet. So I would say that. But I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know what I don't know. Who knows? Maybe video game music's the hardest genre. Who knows? I don't know. I definitely tried to use those trackers before, and it's time consuming. Excuse me. Dro Authentic says, excuse me, y'all. All right, Dro Authentic says, how do you sample songs that already have vocals and all you want is the vocal? You can go to programs like lalal.ai, lalal.ai, I think that's what it's called. Or you could use something like Serato Sample, which is what most producers use. Serato Sample 2 is the best tool, in my opinion. Serato Sample 2, best tool. In FL Studio, you can extract stems, but it's not on the level of it. Serato 2. So if I were to grab my AI samples, for example, bars. If I were to go on my AI stuff, and let's say I only want the vocal, you could drag it into your playlist here. I'm gonna slice out only a little bit. I only recommend you guys do this in FL with small increments, 2 bars max. Here I have 4 bars, but really it's 2 bars. I didn't even measure the BPM, but let's say 2 bars are max. And I wouldn't do anything larger because it could take a long time. So if you click in the top left here, you're gonna go to extract stems from sample, and you're gonna tell FL Studio what do you want from the sample. So in this case, I only want the vocal, but let's just do them all just to show you. We're gonna hit extract. So again, this will take time. And that's why I like Serato Sample, because it does it faster and it does it better in my opinion. So give it time here. All right, so now it's separated the drums, which is not perfect. Oops. Now it's good because it's AI music, so it sounds like AI. But if this were a real record, the drums would not be high quality. Okay, so it separates the drums and the bass, which is really nothing, and then the instruments. So it's pretty decent, but again, it does add, it's not high quality though. And here's the vocal. I just wanna love you. Ain't no... So for this AI, it sounds like AI, so that's why it sounds decent. But again, on a real song, it's gonna dumb down the quality because of the nature of how it extracts those stems, they're called. So that's how you do it in FL, if you have FL. Do you have any knowledge about sync placements? I'm not in the sync world. Clint Music is the guy that I would highly recommend, or XJ Will. Clint Music or XJ Will. Those are the two folks you could look up. Yeah, sync, you know, I gotta be honest with y'all. Sync, how do I explain this without deterring people? I want you guys to get sync money, because that's where the majority of like the actual money from music comes from, is sync placements, like the big paychecks. But the issue with sync is that it's a boys club. And I don't mean it's for boys only. I mean that it's for the insiders for the most part. It's not for everybody. You can't just be like, hey, I want to make the music for Avengers and then do that tomorrow. You have to be not only in the system to get the opportunity, because you have to go to the people who actually own the IP. But even deeper than that, it's a boys club, because if I'm Busy Works Beats and I made movies, I'm gonna put my friend in the position of a music supervisor before I would put any one of you guys. And if I put my friend as the position of music supervisor, he too is gonna have his friend submit to the film most of the time, unless they need something very specific. Now the cool part about sync is that the bright side is that they try to look for artists who haven't popped yet, because they want to break the artists. They want to be the ones who makes this artist popular, because if they can make an artist popular with the film, that star's, you know, popularity is going to be tied to the film. You know, think of all the films that we consider classic. Pulp Fiction, that got Uma Thurman pumping up, you know, her popularity. Uma Thurman came out of that. You had John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mixing movies up in my head. Who else is in Pulp Fiction? Samuel L. Jackson. Okay, so every time Samuel L. Jackson made another movie, Pulp Fiction became more popular. So it's not just the movie itself. It's everything that Samuel L. Jackson has done, everything that John Travolta's done, everything that Uma Thurman's done. Kill Bill. I don't know John Travolta movies, but you know, Snakes on a Plane. Any Samuel L. Jackson, all their works are now pumping up the initial movie called Pulp Fiction. And so now that movie is become beyond the cult classic for that reason. So that's what sync people try to do. So that's the bright side of sync, is that they try to break artists. They're not trying to ride the wave of an artist that already exists. One, because the budget is going to be insane. You know, if you're trying to get Lil Wayne in your movie or Drake, you're going to be spending a ridiculous amount of money for like 30 seconds of a song. Whereas if you get unknown person, you might get them for 5,000 instead of 50,000. But you know, you have that potential upside of their career kind of driving traffic back to. So that's one thing I did notice about sync. They do embrace up and coming acts more so, I've noticed. DJ Hootie says, how much should I sell my beats for? Is $50 to $100 too much nowadays? And since it's a lease, can I sell the same beat to multiple artists? Leasing, yes, you can sell them to multiple people. Pricing, I have a video about the average price on BeatStars, which I think it was about $26 on average for a lease. Now you could either go above that or below that. It's up to you. But the floor value is $26 on BeatStars. So if you're selling below that, you're losing money. If you're selling above that, you're gonna have a little bit of competition because you have people selling below that. So you have to, I made a whole video about that. Sariqua says, why are the bells in the song Type Ish from Out of Tune? To me, something sounds wrong in that song. My friends are big fans of it, but I can't stand the song, to be honest. I don't even know the song. Type-ish? Who even sings that? Let me Google it real quick. Type-ish song. Who sings this? Oh, Future. Okay, so Future, let's just put it this way. Like, in music, when it comes to stuff being out of tune, sometimes we're tapping into a frequency more than we're tapping into a tonal acceptance, if that makes sense. Like, sometimes my 808 will be out of key, but it feels right because the frequency resonates with certain points in my body, quite literally. So that's going to supersede the actual notation of the note. And we're, without going into like esoteric land, you know, you also have something called tuning, how you tune your instruments. You could tune into 440 hertz or you could tune into 432 hertz. You guys have heard about the Fibonacci sequence. You guys have heard about solfeggio patterns. You guys have heard about, you know, cymatic experiments, for example, and 432 and the chakras and all this type of stuff. So sometimes sounds they resonate not because they're in key. They resonate because they're tapping into one of those frequencies. And that could be why those bells bother you, because it's tapping into a certain resonance that isn't of you. Everybody has what's called a natural frequency. And we're getting into meta land. So that's the reason why. Stuff doesn't have to be in key all the time for people to feel it, quite literally. Like, if you want proof, there's a song called Make 'Em Say, oh, nah, nah, nah. That beat is so out of key, but it went like diamond, I think. Let me see. Did I go diamond or platinum? Hold on. Make 'Em Say, by Master P. Let's see what accolades it got. I'm pretty sure it went diamond. Certifications. Okay, it went platinum. I'm wrong. It went platinum. It sold 1 million copies. Make 'Em Say, dun, 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 dun. It was out of key, and sold 1 million copies. So yeah, sometimes it's not about the tuning or the actual technical music theory. How many years did it take you to be a pro? To be a pro, I would say once I decided to lock in, that's when I started developing faster. So this is 10 years ago. I started locking in and truly saying, I'm not going to focus on anything but YouTube and but music production. Until I made that decision to lock in, I was just dabbling with music production. I wasn't really learning it. I was just kind of doing it because I liked it. So you have to make a decision to say, I am choosing this path to learn this thing. I'm not sure how to pronounce your letters. It looks like Hebrew or something. It says, I want to learn how to make music in FL. How can I learn in the best way? I also want to learn music theory. Go to my website. I've done that for you, created the path for you. Just go to busyworksbeats.com, take a look around. We have FL Studio courses, free courses to get you started. But yeah, go to busyworksbeats.com. That's the best place in my opinion, because I know what it feels like to be a producer who has no information from anybody, because that's how I started. There was nobody going step by step by step as if I was a beginner, hand holding me through the process. Everybody thought I knew everything in the beginning, or, you know, no OGs tried to help mentor us back in the day. So that's why I have a chip on my shoulder, metaphorically speaking, because who else was really reaching back to help everybody, like on a grand scale? And that's why I'm like, look, I'm going to break it down to make everything super simple for you. Even if you just started, I'll even show you how to download FL Studio. Legally, I'm saying. Like, I mean, literally step 1, click here, download it here. Like, I'm going to guide you through every single step. Davidix says, thanks to your tutorials, I just sold my first beat. I really appreciate it. Hey, there you go. I don't have sound effects, but air horn for you. Mayonnaise says, my friend is trying to make a beat in 51/8 time signature. Any tips? 51/8. Trying to simplify that. I guess you can't simplify that, huh? I think that is a very strange time signature. How can I learn a new pattern? Sounds like you need my drum patterns course. I have a whole free course. I was going to make it paid, but I was like, let me just give this out for free. So if you go to my YouTube page, it's a free course for drum patterns, and it's 40 minutes of information. It's not like a little tiny little 8-minute video. It's a whole long course. So if you go to my YouTube, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Some people may not have noticed I put this out because I kind of snuck it out there. So if you go to my YouTube and then go to where it says videos, pardon me, and then go to where it says how to make drum patterns like the pros. So here it is, 6 days ago. This is a whole course, 44-minute course on drum patterns. So I went all the way in. Also, I explained the mixer pretty well in this video too. FL Studio 24, how to use the mixer. I just realized all my thumbnails kind of look similar. That's hilarious. This is me pointing to something. Well, it works. So I appreciate you guys supporting my videos. Let me keep reading here. Yeah, you definitely want to have some element of self-learning, but self-learning to me is more so experimenting until you understand something. What up, Seymour? So when people say self-learning, to me, it's to discover a new pathway. How do you discover new pathways? You try new things that you've never done before, or do things incorrectly just to see how far you could take it. Could you explain the 100 tiers for Hercules a little? The 100 tier? So if you go to my website, he's asking about my new plugin at busyworksbeats.com/Hercules. So if you don't know, Hercules is my new plugin. It has 340 plus sounds for trap, hip hop, lo-fi, R&B. And it works in FL Studio, Ableton, and Studio One. I haven't tested it in Logic because they use what are called audio units. It's a different process. But anyhow, it's a VST format plugin. It works in anything that could load VSTs. And the first tier here is just the plugin itself. You get 340 sounds inside this plugin. And it's just built for music producers. The next tier here, which is $49.99, he's asking, is Hercules, which is the plugin, plus our Sounds Vault, which has over 100 plus FL Studio templates, 20 custom FL Studio plugins I mapped out in Patcher, 47 Ableton Live devices I've created, and 7 loop packs. 70 melody loop packs as well. So that's called the Sounds Vault. It's basically all of our sound products plus Hercules, the plugin. And then the $99.99 is not only the plugin and not only all our sound products, but the 60 plus music production courses. So if you go to busyworksbeats.com, we've trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some are going to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Lil Baby, Trippie Redd, Polo G, J. Cole, Kendrick, and a long list of other artists. And so basically, this is my school for music production training. Like if you knew nothing about music production and you want to start and get rolling, this is the place to be. So if you go to busyworksbeats.com, we have 60 plus music production courses. And I start at the beginner level because I understand how important it is to go step by step. Even if you're advanced, you think you know everything. Sometimes you got to go back to the basics and realize you don't know everything, because that's why you're stuck. You think you know everything, but you don't. And so at busyworksbeats.com, I have stuff for beginners, which would be like the FL Studio course, which is completely free for beginners. Our Music Theory Essentials course, for example, will be the next step. And then we have courses on like sound design, how to sound design a drum kit, for example. So that would be for people who are more advanced. And I'm surprised I don't have a tab for this, but if you go to all and type in sound design, we're going to pull up what's called on the second tab. It's all the way on the back, hidden. Okay, so it's the drum kit sound design course. This literally teaches you how to make a drum kit from scratch, not using other people's stuff. How to make an 808 from scratch, a snare from scratch, a hi-hat from scratch, using Serum most of the time, and how to make you guys' own drum kits. So it goes that advanced, so I try to cover as much as I can. I need more courses on Logic and Ableton. So if you guys are instructors and you want to partner up potentially, I'm looking for instructors for Ableton and Logic and Pro Tools. But I teach, mixing, I teach mastering. So I try to teach as much as I know. So this is basically my brain encapsulated in 60 plus music production courses. And so the results speak for themselves. If you don't, go to my Instagram, because that's where I have all my testimonials, instagram.com/busyworksbeats, and go to click on the highlights and look at all the testimonials, and also check who mutually follows me. Okay, so that's how you can do your background about like the value that I try to add to people. And that's the package. So basically you're getting all of that plus Hercules plus all of my sound. So it's pretty much everything I offer for one price. Pretty insane, in my opinion. But that's going to be a limited time offer, that 99 package. Okay, we're just trying to get people, we're trying to incentivize people to hop over to Hercules, make some beats. All right, so that's that. Okay, when making music and trying to get out there, should I put quality over quantity? I'll put it this way. Using the scientific method, there's no such thing as quality without quantity. You literally cannot get to quality without doing what are called iterations. So you have to do what are called iterations until you figure out, in science at least, how to beat what's called the control. So you have a constant variable, it's called, that you don't change. And you make iterations against that variable until you have something that beats that constant. So in other words, you need quantity to even determine what creates the highest output for your time and your energy. So there's no such thing as quality before quantity, scientifically speaking. Okay, so Seymour says, blah my rigid. I don't know what that means. Can you make a tutorial on corridos tumbados? I've never heard that before. I don't know what that is. Yeah. Can you react to my beat? I just started getting good at drill beats. We do that every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We go live on YouTube. Samples are perfect for training drums. The difference between sidechain and compression. The difference between sidechain and compression. I think you mean sidechain compression, but to answer your question, sidechain compression is really the goal of it. Let's say I have music in the background. Let me load up a track real quick. The origin of sidechain compression came from like the radio type stuff, the radio days. So when you think of it this way, it'll make more sense. So let's say I have some music in the background. Let me just pull up some old track. Let me pull up. I need to pull up a good song here. Let's pull this one up. She was like, so, right now I can't even hear myself over the music. So if I turn the volume of the music up, I can't hear myself. So I want a mechanism that listens to my microphone and it tells the compressor to turn the volume of the music down every time I start talking. So on radio, it sounds like this. They'll have a volume like this. Welcome back to 99.9.5, where we have the House of Hip Hop and the local whatever. Coming next up, we got Rolling 60s here in Grave Street in LA. And then every time they talk, the volume goes down. And so that's a way where hosts can get their words in without competing against the song. So that's what sidechain compression is. It's basically every time something happens, you want to turn down something else. That's the gist of sidechain compression. Now, compression itself is the idea of usually making stuff louder most of the time. It's about making stuff more consistent, technically speaking. Okay. Compression gets really advanced. It's not a little bite-sized answer I can give you about compression, because it does more than volume control. It also adds harmonics. But I made a video on what compression actually does. You want to go watch that video. Ryan says, look, here's what I personally believe you should learn things. Okay, so he gave a little list of stuff. Nash says, how important are progressions? Let's say the melody is established. What chords do in terms of when they're alongside the melody is that chords give context to your melody. Hold on, y'all. Chords give like mood context to your melody. I think I have an example, but I don't think I have it on hand here. I don't think I moved over my MIDI. Basically, the short answer is that without chords, your melody doesn't have a context. Okay. And depending on what mood you're going for, you could change the mood underneath a melody. So I could have a melody and I could have it in a, let's say, a minor type vibe where it's dark. Or I could have the melody and then I could switch it to a major, happier vibe. And so both can work with the melody, but I'm changing the underlying mood that goes with it. So again, think of melody like words on a page. Think of the page itself as the chord progression. It's the foundation of the actual sentences. That's my answer to you. I know that wasn't probably everything you wanted out of that answer, but progressions are needed for adding mood is the answer to you. They add mood, contextual mood. Vaughn says, what are some tips on becoming better in music arrangement? I think we tend to mix the word arrangement up with structure. So when you guys ask about arrangement, you need to realize that making beats is arranging music. You're telling the bass drum where to be, you're telling the snare where to be, you're telling the brass to do this, you're telling the keyboard to do that. That is music production. I think you guys mean music song structure. So I have a whole video that I put out, which is very in depth. I'll show you guys what it looks like. But yeah, I think people overthink song structure big time. But if you scroll down, it is from 1 month ago, how to structure songs like a pro. I'll share the links with you guys. Give me a second. So here's the song structure vid. But yeah, the concept behind the song structure is the psychology. What are we trying to do to the psychology or the mood? Oh wait, actually that's not the real one. Hold up. That was a miniature video. Here's the masterclass link. Song structure masterclass. I know I'm not spelling masterclass. One of those words is spelled incorrectly. All right, so and then we have the drum patterns video masterclass. I did a lot of masterclasses for free, y'all, and nobody's watching them. So that shows me nobody's really serious. Here's the masterclass. Boom. All right, there you go. Yeah, I'm reading every single comment. Maj, what does it say? Majluski. Hello, I want to ask how to learn mixing and mastering in the best way. I mean, I think any tutorial called like how to mix hip hop songs, for example, is good for that one specific thing, not for all the genres. I agree. You need to redefine, and I had to say this to myself even as an instructor, is that there is no, all the mixing tutorials are BS. And I don't mean that they can't teach you compression, they can't teach you EQ, they can't teach you delay. I'm talking about mixing is sound design. When you think of mixing as sound design, you'll stop trying to chase a rabbit that you'll never catch. In other words, when you're learning mixing, just say you want to learn the sound of Michael Jackson, the sound of Metro Boomin, the sound of X, Y, and Z. That's what you're actually trying to learn, not how to mix, because there's no cookie cutter book on how to mix. You know, every mix is completely different. Now you want to understand the concepts, you know, the puzzle pieces to mixing. But as far as how to mix and always do this and always do that, there is no always and there's no nevers. And so I can prove that to you because if you listen to the new class of artists right now, like Osama Sun, Xavier Sobase, 10K, for example, these kids are slapping. Even the new Midwest album sounds a lot like Osama Sun. They're just slapping like a distortion plugin on the master and like distorting everything. And there's no headroom. There's no, it breaks every mixing rule. So there is no like run in the mill, do this every time mix. But I will say learn the components though. Like what is compression? What is EQ? What is delay? But instead of framing it like you have to learn the absolutes, just frame it to say, I want to learn the sound of Metro Boomin or the sound of Deadmau5. Just frame it that way and you're going to learn a lot more because mixing is more flexible than you probably think. Drek says, I got a problem with mastering when I got a problem mastering. When I got MP3 file afterwards, my voice is quieter when there is kick in the music. That's called masking. And I'm trying to give you a quick answer. I have a video. It's funny. I have a video for everything you guys are asking, literally. I have a video. I learned this technique from Streaky and it's Ironclad. Okay. So let me find the video. I think it's from a while ago. So let me zoom back a little bit. The video is called, here it is. I learned this vocal mixing trick from an expert. So I'm going to change the thumbnail because it doesn't do the video justice. But it's called I learned this vocal mixing trick from an expert. This will give you the quick solution. So basically, you want to run through like an 1176 type plugin. This is going to create the saturation for your vocal, and it's also going to make your vocal more consistent. Then you're going to run it through a FabFilter Pro L2, which is going to make your vocal sit on top of the beat so that you're not competing with the elements of the beat. Now, if your beat is still distorting everything, then that means your kick has too much energy, and you need to go back and figure out how to get the energy out of kick using clippers to shave down some of the headroom so that you can add other stuff. It's your answer is going to be long. Your question is simple, but the answer is very long. You have to look into how to get your kick to hit without taking up a bunch of dB. In short, the way you do that is soft clipping, saturators, stuff like that. Is there any market or chance for success for versatile multi-genre producers? Is there any market? I think there's a market for production. Yes. I think a lot of people are trying to compete to work with artists. You guys need to be focused on like film projects. I don't think you guys understand how much money is in film. Like I saw stuff floating around with a certain producer collective where they would put up the budget for, you know, the music. It'd be $75,000 for the budget for the music. That doesn't mean one person gets $75,000. That means the whole budget for the music is $75,000. So that's the type of stuff you guys can see when you get into the sync world. And I think people, they don't understand that. But again, most people who, it's such a long answer. Most people who get into sync are also tied to the 3 record labels, Sony most of the time, Warner, and Universal. I've seen a lot of stuff come through Sony for film because again, what does Sony own? They own video games. They own a whole PlayStation. They own, let me see, Sony properties. Let's see what list of assets owned by Sony. They own Audeze. I didn't know that. Shout out to Audeze. I didn't know I was wearing Sony headphones. Shout out to that. Well, they own Audeze, my headphone company. Not mine, but the ones I'm wearing. They own Bungie? No, they don't. They own, hold on, let me flip the screen, hold up. I did not know this. For those who don't know, Bungie created Halo, for those who don't know. That's nuts. I didn't know Sony owned Bungie. But Bungie sold Halo to 343 Studios or something, and then it went downhill ever since. But Bungie was behind Destiny 2, that video game. Wow. I did not realize PlayStation was this powerful. They own Bungie, they own Audeze. And I don't know if this means they're majority shareholders or if they own the entire thing. I'm not sure. They bought them out. They own Naughty Dog. Didn't know that. All right, so they own PlayStation, Sony Pictures. That's the movie one that I can think of. Sony Pictures, they own, look at all these entities that they own. Now your music could be on any one of these entities. These are called subsidiaries. And all these entities create products that go to the market. So everybody's trying to run through the rabbit hole of Future. I'm like, go with the companies, because the companies own all the other companies which make the actual products and services that people buy. So this is, I didn't know Epic was under Sony. I'm learning so much. Bad Boy Records, I don't know who's going to sign to them. Columbia Records. So yeah, that's an exhaustive list of what Sony owns. So again, everybody wants to chase the artist. They don't want to chase the business that owns everything. That's who I'm going after. Who owns everything? I don't want to chase an artist who's a cog in the machine. I want to chase the actual person who made the machine. So when you ask about market, sometimes we just got to expose ourselves to how big the world actually is. How would you promote your first album? What do you mean, how would I promote? I would make content and I would show people. I would solve problems for people and then demonstrate how my album solved that problem while I was making the album. And then people might listen to the album after that. That's how I would do it. Is mixing and mastering vocals the same as mixing and mastering beats? Yes, because you're going to master the beat and the vocal together. You're going to mix the beat and the vocal together. So those are secondary things after the beat and the vocal are done. You wouldn't master vocals by themselves. Prashish says, hello, sir. How to create the 808 drill loop. Today, we don't have enough time to cover that, unfortunately. But I definitely have videos on 808 slides. You need to go look up my videos on my channel. Anytime you guys have like a very specific question, I probably covered it. So if you go to my YouTube, let's go here real quick. So if you go to my YouTube, there's a little search button. I know you can only do this on desktop, but you could also do it in the search of YouTube. So if you search like drill, for example, how to make drill beats in FL Studio. I even made a 1-minute video that shows you how to make drill beats easily in FL21. I even have a playlist called How to Make Drill Beats with 11 videos. Drill melody secrets, drill beat tutorials. What happens if you... So, you know, there's a lot of material here. You got to go back and look. Levi says, a dumb question. Does a synthesizer just generate MP3s in your DAW, or can it also play notes which you can edit after? The latter. It can make notes that you can edit after. That's the notes that you can edit after is called MIDI, M-I-D-I. And MP3s are usually created once you're done something, then you can export your song as an MP3. You normally wouldn't create as an MP3. We create using what's called MIDI, M-I-D-I, into what's called streaming audio. You don't need to know that word at all. But basically you're streaming audio until you print the audio, it's called, to MP3, then it's finalized for the most part. Ari says, would you recommend making our own samples? I mean, if you have the time. Keep in mind, sound design takes a lot of time. So even though you can do it, do you want to spend that much time doing it? That's the real question. Has Kanye really given up on music? I don't know Kanye's intent. Not sure. I doubt it. It seems like music is really in his DNA. Spitfire Labs is very decent. True. Spitfire, I think they're putting out new products that are free. So go try them out. But I don't use them every day, so I don't talk about them. Mark E says, is it worth purchasing MIDI chord packs after the release of FL 2024? I wouldn't say that the chord progression tool can do all things. Like, it's still a lot of things that I think are a little clunky in there, but to each his own. You know, buy what inspires you. For those who didn't know, you know, back in the day when they had, you could either sell music, you could sell the MIDI, what is it called? The music, sheet music, okay? MIDI is just modern day sheet music, and sheet music used to make a lot of money. I know a person who, I think his father was like a rock star or something. And part of his estate is that he would sell the MIDI sheet music to artists around the world. They made a lot of money selling MIDI sheet music. So sometimes it's not the music itself that sells, it's the tools to help somebody get there. So yes, invest in whatever inspires you, really. Sammy says, do you think dropping an instrumental album is a good idea to get sync license placements? I don't think that correlates directly to sync placements just because somebody dropped an album, an instrumental album. In fact, I don't listen to instrumental albums, so I don't know too many people who do that outside of Decap maybe, and like Eldre, if they even have instrumental albums, I don't know. But I just think people are lazy and they don't want to make a full project, so they just say, I'll put up an instrumental album. That's the reality. People want to be lazy. Now, the sync question, do I think it's going to help you get a sync opportunity? I mean, any exposure to anything, whether you make content, whether you're being streamed a lot, any attention is valuable towards getting somebody's attention from that side of things. But again, you have to be pulled into that world. You're not going to just stumble upon sync placements unless you go through the music library route, which is a little more, it's a long conversation. Just look up Clint Music. He could be your mentor, or XJ Will. Clint Music, XJ Will. Now, the real question is, do you guys truly have a passion to be in sync, or are you just doing it because the paychecks are there? Like, you really have to ask yourself why you're doing sync, though, or why you want to be in a sync. How can I get placements as an Ethiopian producer? You could be online like all of us. I'm the definition of somebody who will not pull up to a session. I will not network at these parties in the industry, but I still get opportunity because I create value through content. Content is your way to help people understand you before you even meet in person. So they feel like they know you already because they saw you a billion times in content. And then you've added value to them before you ask of anything. And so you have a better chance, in my opinion, of getting opportunities that way. This is the way I've seen work. It makes sense. Like when somebody wants to interview with me or do business with me, I'm like, okay, where's their content? How do I learn about them as a person before I even start getting into business stuff? Double A says Surge is an amazing. Okay, yeah. Do you consider yourself an industry producer? No. I think industry producers they want to be separated because of their brand. And to me, I don't think that's the greatest title to have as an industry producer. I think some of them are very divisive because again, if there's millions of producers around the world, how do I separate myself from millions of people? I go, oh, I'm an industry producer. I'm a real producer in the industry. That's why I'm better than y'all online, even though I started online and now I'm an industry producer, but I'm better than y'all. So that's their way of creating perceived value because they don't want to be lumped up with the other million competitors because that lowers their value. So I understand why they do it, but I don't consider myself an industry producer because there's a big disconnect that I've seen in the mentality of industry folks versus people who come online. We're a little more welcoming. Industry producers are not as welcoming, in my opinion. That's just an opinion though. Because if they were welcoming, where's their tutorials? Where's their help? Where's their advice? They never give back. It's always them just focused on what they do. They're not worried about the greater collective. How would you promote? And that's why I made BusyWorks Beats, because I realized like, okay, yeah, we have Timbaland, Pharrell, Just Blaze, all these icons to look up to, but like who is actually sitting down and showing us the game? Do we have to always sign to these people to get game? Why is it always that I have to sign to this person or, be at this session to get information? Like the information should be freely given. And that's why BusyWorks Beats grew to what it was, because that information was not being spread. I was one of the first, if not the first, at least for FL Studio, to truly say, I'm going to spread information because it was not given to me. No, here's what I learned from medicine, and I'll be short because it's a long story. I went to school for pre-med and biology, and I went to go to medical school. And one thing I learned is that they have a phrase called each one, teach one. So if you have a super smart doctor up here, he's going to teach somebody under him, and he's going to pull that doctor up. The doctor under him pulls the doctor below him up, and they all keep skilling up together until they just get crazy smart. And that wasn't happening in the music production community. There was no OGs coming back to help us. There was no advice. If anything, they would give you vague advice. It wasn't like how to do anything. So I was like, why is nobody helping us? It was a whole broken chain in the structure. And I think that's what we're building now. Now all you see is tutorials because we started that culture to help one another. And I'm so happy to see it. How would you promote your first album without money? Again, with the word promote, I think you guys don't understand the depths of marketing. Marketing goes beyond spending money. If you have to spend money to do anything in your marketing, you're already losing because you don't know how to market. Marketing should not cost you anything. You need to understand content marketing first. You only spend money when you know a piece of content is really working and you're trying to take it from, level 10 to level 11. But there's no guarantees. If you could spend a ton of money and get nowhere. So money does not push anything. And that's for products online. That's for music. That's for anything. It does not solve all problems. You would have to have really deep pockets because you're trying to avoid the iteration process in the scientific method. That's what everybody's trying to do. They're trying to avoid the fact that they have to do something over and over and over and over and over and over again in different ways until they figure out what actually works. They're trying to avoid that. So they try to use money to do that, but your pockets aren't deep enough to do that. Darko Prod says, do you have any major placements? I work with, again, the people I've trained have worked with Kanye West, Post Malone, I missed one, Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Lil Baby, Polo G, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, even going beyond that list, 6ix9ine, who else can I think of? Ariana Grande, I already said that. A long list of other folks I'm literally forgetting. But yeah, it's placement. Some people, who was it? Benji, just told me that he used to watch my stuff. So shout out to him. And platinum producers, gold producers, some I think even won a Grammy recently. I have to go back and check. So once I realized that I could train this person, that person, this person, that person, as long as they apply the information, they can be in the field doing all the hard work and they deserve their placements, so it's like saying, to LeBron, he has a son, Bronny, is it? I don't know everybody in sports, but you can look at LeBron and all the people that LeBron taught, Bronny and whoever else was close to LeBron. It's like greatness begets greatness is my point. Okay. So, and I've also worked with $4 billion brands. Avid is a $1 billion brand. And I went to them about these deals most of the time. Sweetwater, $1 billion brand. Near Protocol, $1 billion brand in Web3. And Razor Music, which was alongside Metro Boomin, Murder Beats, Anderson .Paak, Dead Mouse, Sunny Digital. So I just play a different game. I work with the brands. Gemstone says, what do you think about BeatStars? I gave my opinions in my latest BeatStars video, where I show you guys the price of the average price on BeatStars is $26 for a beat lease. So I mean that's data. It's not even an opinion. Yankee says, what's the best free plugin, brother? There is no best one. Stop looking. Darko Prod, y'all can help him out with free plugins. I don't think there's any good free plugins outside of Kilohertz. I can't recommend free plugins. They're not good. I won't even say they're not good. They're just not, they don't stand out to me. What do you think about tight beat channels? I think that people are lazy with tight beats. Like you have to do I just want y'all to realize, like in business, online specifically, you have to do more than just upload a beat or upload a song and call it a day. You have to market the song. You have to make content. You have to do customer support. You have to, make your stuff relevant. You have to do market research. You have to solve problems of producers and artists around the world. It can't just be upload a beat and then log out. That's not how life works. And I think too many people want to press the easy button. But I have a whole live stream where I cover how to make money online. You want to watch that video. It was a recent live stream video. Is there any way to load music to Canva as a Canva contributor? I've never heard that before. Apparently Canva's getting in the music licensing game. I didn't know that. Is sampling illegal? If you don't clear it, technically you're infringing on what's called somebody's copyrights. But I covered this earlier. Who's chasing down you for sampling somebody? Chances are they're not going to chase you down. You're not, unless you make a hit song, they're not chasing you down because it costs them money to chase you down. It'd be foolish to chase people down for every little tiny infringement. So that's why they do blanket licenses with different, social media. They're not going to chase every content creator who uses the Drake song. They're going to just do a deal with TikTok, a deal with Instagram, a deal with YouTube. They're not going to chase down every single content creator who uses their stuff. But yeah, I answered that earlier, Jack. I'm not trying to be vague. I just went over that earlier. Funk says, I want to be a beat maker, producer. What will be my first step? You got to download a DAW, a DAW. So go pick a DAW and learn your DAW first, like how to do stuff in your DAW. That's the first step. Cold Rap Star says, how to make my song viral or get 1,000 streams on Spotify. I covered this in my recent live stream, so you want to go watch that one. Let me show you what it looks like, because I probably sound like I'm just brushing you guys off, but I literally have a 2-hour live stream where I broke this all the way down. So let me show you real quick. It's called, live stream is called, where's it at? How to grow your online music business with YouTube. Okay, so go watch this live stream. It's 2.5 hours long, and I break down everything that you're asking, because you have to, the fundamental problem with your question is you have to redefine a lot of the words you're saying. Like viral, what does that even mean? You have to redefine that. You have to redefine what it means to get 1,000 streams. You have to redefine even Spotify. You have to redefine these concepts, because if you think that, never mind, just put it this way. You need to learn where traffic comes from. Internet traffic. Okay. You need to study traffic. Focus on internet traffic and do as much research on that as you can, because your ideal of the internet and how it works is incorrect. Because there's no magic button you could just press. You have to understand where traffic comes from and how you direct traffic back to your thing. And I covered that in my live streams. Is BeatStars the only way to make beats, sell beats? No. Do you enjoy you can use something called Samply, which avoids all of those marketplaces. It's called Samply, and I have a video on how to use it. You can tie up your Stripe account and take payments just like that. And it has a music player that looks modern. Tim says, do you enjoy making your own plugins? Making it is, it's not the easiest, funnest thing in the world, but the frustration with some parts does make it satisfying when I'm done, if that makes sense. Like if a video game's too easy, would you really have fun in it? No. You need video games that challenge you a little bit. So it is challenging, but it's fun to see my product actually have a life of its own. Yeah, Dan Tanner, we in the building. What up? So I could probably do maybe 10 more questions. I think I'll go as long as I can, but I've been live for what, 2 hours? What time is it? I'll just keep going until my body just says stop. Hanaro says, I'm new to mixing songs. Do you have a proper or sequence you do when mastering a song? I think a lot of y'all don't watch my videos. That's what I'm realizing. Like literally the other day, I did a live stream about how to mix songs and master songs. But yeah, go to check my YouTube. Like literally anything y'all could think of is probably already done on my channel. So if you go to my channel, go to live, and then you want to scroll down until you see how to mix beats and songs. How to mix beats and songs. Or excuse me, how to mix beats and songs. This is the video you want to watch right here. It's a 2-hour video. I go through every step of my mixing process. So go check that one out. Somewhere Media says, I got a premium membership and I'm studying and mixing and mastering. What key plugins do I need to make professional sounding songs? Again, you guys want these like one plugin answers. There is none. Like it, you just have to accept that you'll have lopsided plugins your entire process until you make about $100,000 on this stuff. Like you're not gonna have everything you need all the time. Like trust me, you're not. So let's just say if you want an all-in-one solution, just go with Ozone. But I don't use Ozone for everything for many reasons. But it's the all-in-one thing that I could suggest for where you're at right now. Ozone by iZotope. And thank you for your premium membership, by the way. I'm not trying to be vague. It's just when people ask me about what plugin's the best, there is none. It's based on what you're trying to do. But yeah, I would look at Standard Clip. That's a pretty good plugin. It's pretty affordable. iZotope Ozone covers the majority of everything you guys will need for mixing. There's also, what else is kind of affordable? The Kilohertz series is good. It's free. Kilohertz Essentials. These are mixing plugins, by the way. What else do I use in mixing? And then maybe like Waves L2. Waves RComp is pretty good if you're doing vocals. Waves NS1 if you're doing vocals. So it really depends on your budget. I don't know what you have to invest, but just Ozone really does cover a lot. But FabFilter, if you can afford it, the FabFilter stuff is my favorite stuff right now. So FabFilter plugins beat out Ozone in my opinion. I used to not understand how to use them, but once I learned how to use them, I'm like, why was I using anything else? I used the Pro Q3. I used the Saturn 2. I used their compressor called C2. I used their gate called Pro G. And I used their limiter called Pro L2, I think. So that's, the FabFilter bundle. Now it is expensive though, so it's not for everybody's budget. Just jumped in and have a little experience. Dope. Robert West says, why do you prefer Ableton for EDM? Mainly due to their audio manipulation. Whereas in FL Studio, like if you drag an audio into Ableton, it will figure out the tempo. It will quantize it to your tempo. Whereas FL Studio, you have to do a lot of work to quantize it to the tempo. And like Ableton uses what's called time warp. So even if you quantize something to the tempo in FL Studio, it doesn't mean the in-between notes are going to line up perfectly. But in Ableton, they nudge individual, they're called transients. the pointy parts of the audio, they nudge those around to perfectly match your tempo. So it's very good in that way for EDM, because they use a lot of audio samples in EDM, whereas FL Studio is not as audio friendly, at least for the time warp part. SPX says, any advice for someone who wants to be fully independent in the game? Wish I could explain more. Again, I have go watch that live stream called How to Grow Your Online Music Business with YouTube. I think I did a live stream on independent stuff. Let me see. Here it is. There's another one called Indie Artist Blueprint Masterclass from 5 months ago on my live stream tab. And there's another one called How to Get Streams for Your Music, a whole masterclass, 2 hours. So I put out hours and hours and hours on this stuff. You guys just got to go back and check. I'm not critiquing you. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff you guys might not know on the channel. I make awesome beats, but I don't know how to make it long like Phineas, connected like a story. You got to probably study music theory, because music theory is like the DNA, and the DNA of the song can go off on tangents and make it expand and do all this cool stuff. Mush says, may I ask your tip how you flow your emotion on music you produce? I always get stuck. It's because everybody wants to skip music theory. Try out my music theory course called Music Theory Magic, because I cover the underlying thing below music, which is actually mood. So it goes deeper into, let me go to this website. Hold up. So if I go to busyworksbeats.com/music theory magic, here's what I cover in the course, and there's 11 hours of content, so it's power packed. That's like 5 masterclasses in one, but it's a lot of videos in here. So what I cover in this one is how to create melodies, conjuring chords, how to do turnarounds, passing chord substitutions, alterations, secondary dominants, extensions, walk downs. I go pretty deep with revoicing the chords, certain genres, even like they do certain techniques like in gospel. I even cover esoteric songwriting, which is we're trying to tap into a frequency, a natural frequency, aka a mood, which is a frequency. And so once you learn how to target that frequency, you can create an emotion and get people to move. Signed up to your site, bro. Thank you, Dantana. So we have, it's a lot. You need to understand there's music has a meta layer, and this course teaches you the meta layer of music. It goes very deep. It goes even into astrological foundations, whether you believe it or not. It goes into certain things like that, like which scales create which moods. Like it goes that deep. Like for example, I'll give you a tip. E minor is the most depressing. E minor is the most depressing scale there is, and there's a reason why Travis Scott used F minor, which is a rebellious scale, for his Utopia album. Okay, so I studied that album. He wrote a lot in F minor and E minor. Why? Because he's trying to pull on that emotion of depression and rebellion, because that's what his audience, that's where they are. So once you learn that, you'll understand why you're making music. Steve Eggers says, hey game, I love all your videos. Thank you for all you do. What I wanted to know was, do you have a video showing which FL Studio to buy and what plugins to get with it? I would just recommend the Producer Edition. I do have a video, but I'll just tell you the answer. Producer Edition. And then buy whatever plugins you like after that. There's no like magical plugin pathway. But definitely get the Producer Edition. You don't need the signature bundle or the all bundle. It's just overkill. When do you have beat battles? Every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we do beat battles in our Discord. The link's at the top of the chat for our Discord. We now have over 90,000 people in our Discord. We're basically creating a producer city for artists and musicians around the world. Again, Dantana, thank you for signing up for the website. Any tips to get more attention on your beats on YouTube? You guys got to watch my marketing videos. Yes, I answer that question quite often on my live stream tab. CeeLo says, what can newer artists learn? What can newer artists learn and take and use from older artists in music, such as flows and techniques? As far as artistry, you want to understand rhyme schemes. So, for example, male rhymes are one syllable, female rhymes are two syllables. So, if I said, I'm in the park with my dog, shout out to everybody trying to cook the hog. We're just rhyming one syllable. But if I say, I was riding in the back seat with my boys like Backstreet, so now that's a two syllable rhyme. And Benny the Butcher, he rhymes like 5 to 6 syllables at a time. I can't do that off the top of my head because it will just take too much mental work to do that. But he's going to rhyme a lot of words in one bar, and then the next bar, it rhymes that many syllables, like 5 to 6 syllables. So that's what separates Benny the Butcher from the rest of the rappers, for the most part. Some other things you want to study, even outside of just being an artist, are drum patterns, funny enough. Because once you understand tresillo, for example, or syncopation, and understanding like what the downbeat is versus whatever, you're going to have a better time, in my opinion, coming up with flows as an artist. Because once you truly understand the rhythm of the beat and like how to fit into the rhythm and the contrast to that, you're going to have a lot more to offer than a typical artist who doesn't even know how to like flow with the beat. But yeah, I have a video on drum patterns. It's a whole masterclass. It will help you with your vocal patterns as well. So study drum patterns, in my opinion. Darko says, no hate, but you got all this knowledge. Why are you not working with big artists and you chose teaching? Great work, by the way, learning from you the past 4 years. Keep up. So Darko, I train the top people in the world. Let me just name drop because I don't know if y'all like understand. So if you go to busyworksbeats.com, let's just look at the website real quick. So if you go to busyworksbeats.com, scroll down a little bit, you'll see very positive testimonials from some of the top people in the world as far as music production goes. Metro Boomin says, love bro, I've always been a fan. The work you do for the community is monumental. We were shouting him out for I think he followed me on Twitter and I said thank you. We love Metro. I don't know any one person who doesn't love Metro, like not one. And then Illmind said a while ago, a lot of good stuff on YouTube, but Busyworks Beats and Servita are my favorites at the moment. And then Rodney Jerkins says, I taught something called chord codes at the time. This is 2015, by the way. He says, Busyworks Beats, yes sir, keep teaching this new generation. Information and knowledge is the next currency. Basically, I was going over what are called chord codes, and his favorite chord code was the minor 7th, or the 03710. So this is a man who produced for Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, the top artists in the world. Illmind produced for Drake, J. Cole. Metro produced for Future, Drake, a ton of people. I don't even know Metro's catalog. It's so big. The Weeknd. So for me, validation is not about, do I want to work with The Weeknd, unless I really wanted to work with The Weeknd. And I got to be honest with y'all, I don't want the lifestyle where I have to get up at 2 a.m. to go to a studio session just because the celebrity's in town and they're going to fly out tomorrow. That's not the lifestyle I want to live. I'm not sure. Like, one of the reasons why I didn't want to be a doctor, this is one of the many reasons, but one of the main ones was I'm not going to have a family life. Like, being on call all the time, they could wake you up while you're asleep because you have to do a surgery or you have to go in and cover somebody's shift at 2 a.m. Like, it doesn't, I'm not in love with the concept that much to be willing to sacrifice that much for that thing. And when you work behind the scenes, like I gave one of the top producers in the world, I'm not going to name drop because it might be kind of techie, but I came across an opportunity, a multi-$1,000 opportunity for this producer to get a placement in MLB. Now, this was a random opportunity. So when people ask me how to get placements, I'm like, the universe gave that to us. I don't know where it came from. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But anyhow, I hooked that producer up, and he's one of the top. He's produced for, let me actually see his catalog. I don't even know his catalog. But it was a producer from 1500 or Nothing. It was Mars, actually. I'll just say his name. I don't know why I'm hogging his name back. But I let Mars have that opportunity because he's passionate about doing that day to day to day. I'm not, so I just passed it along. But yeah, Mars has produced for, let me see his catalog. And my point in saying this is that once you're behind the scenes and you see how music opportunities work and stuff, I'm more excited about the business of music than the being in the session with T-Pain. Like, I'd rather make my own music. and I'm being honest with y'all. Where's this? Okay, so he's worked with, can y'all see this? Oh no. So his credits are Chris Brown, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Mary J. Blige, Drake, Faith Evans, Kalani, Roddy Ricch, Jeremiah, Bow Wow. You guys have to ask this question, because you're really asking the question because you're asking it for yourself, which is, do you want to do that thing? And the one question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to be signed to a major label to do all those things? Because the majority of these placements from these artists, you have to be associated with the major. They're not doing this with random people around the world. They're not. And they hand out opportunities to the producers who are in their structure. So you as a loop maker, the opportunity might come from somebody who signed to Sony, and you contribute your loop to that producer who signed to Sony. And then that Sony opportunity came from Sony down to the Sony producer. But somebody had to be signed to Sony for that opportunity to happen. So if you're not going to make a bunch of friends who are already signed and have these like producer collectives or these, these point people in the industry, it's going to be pretty difficult without being signed, because you're not getting Sony emails about opportunities if you're not signed to Sony. So there's a lot that comes with placements, and I think people don't understand that side of things. I think they glamorize it because they want to be next to a rapper, and I'm being 1000%. I think a lot of rappers are dumb, and I don't really have a lot in common with rappers. So to me, it would be fake to want to be around them 24/7. They're not my type of people most of the time. But that's neither here nor there. It depends on what lifestyle you want. Just ask that question. How do you want your life to look? Do you want to constantly be in the studio? Like, I know a dude with a ton of placements, ton of opportunity, but he's always in the studio. He can never leave. He's locked to the studio. I think too, people don't understand, like, I've had a commercial studio in 2020. I got a commercial studio space, and that was the least happy I've been with music when I had the commercial space. The most happy I've been is like in a small room like this, where my gear is right here. I don't have to go to another room to record. I can just walk over there. Everything I need is right here. I don't have to go anywhere. My son's here. I can play with my son. I can be with my family. Like, I don't want to have to drive an hour to my studio to sit there like it's a job. It takes away the fun. I don't think people understand that. But I've spent thousands of dollars to realize that that is not what makes me happy in music. Being at the studio. That's the last place I want to be, is a commercial studio all day long. And I'm being so honest with y'all. Tushar says, no matter which, not the last place I'd be, but you know what I'm saying? No matter which scale, but same note, I choose they sound the same, then what's the point of the scale? No matter which scale you use, but the same notes, I choose they sound the same. Try just, well, yeah, everything's about intervallic distance. Something you want to do is transpose your whole melody and your composition up and down a key. Shift up, shift down. Try that in FL Studio. You'll start to hear your music in a different vibe. It will literally make your chords have a different feeling, because it depends on the scale that you're in. Where would you put your music online to distribute? Where would I? YouTube. You said instrumental music. I mean, I put my stuff on YouTube. Understand, the whole DSP thing is just finessing you guys. They want you to pay money to put your content up for free. Like, come on. They want you to pay your money every year, every month, to put your content up so that somebody else can consume it, so that you get 0.003 cents every time somebody consumes it. Like, why don't you just put it on YouTube and just start there instead of working backwards? But that's my opinion. Tim says, is there a way to elongate vocals or record wave if it's originally short? For example, I record my vocals and it's shorter than what I intended when singing and would like to elongate it. I don't know if you mean like have AI generate the rest of the words for you, or do you mean like you say the word the, but you want it to be like the, like that instead of the. You could time stretch it technically in Ableton or in FL Studio. You could time stretch. You could try that, but it will, depending on how you time stretch it, it will add artifacts. So it'll be like it'll sound like that. It'll be kind of weird sounding. I would just do another take. If you have to do all that work to your vocal, it's probably not a good vocal. Zen Mia says, can you take legal action if they take your beat without letting you know, but like screen recorded the beat when you were showing them and they rapped over it? I think people, that's a loser's mentality. Like if you think about the internet, everything is stolen for the most part. And I'm generalizing here. Just accept that whatever you put online will be stolen. Like just accept that in your heart. Just be like, whatever I upload to YouTube or SoundCloud or wherever, it can be stolen and it will be stolen. Now what? It's like, get over it. It's going to be stolen. Are you going to chase everybody down for pennies? That'd be stupid and a waste of time. You're actually hurting yourself by doing that. And the only legal action you would probably do that's you could afford is a takedown notice, which again is a waste of time. Unless they're like an artist that you respect and you want I don't know what you mean by steal. I don't know if you mean like unsigned artist or if you mean signed artist. You know, the way you can kind of gain leverage in the industry is if somehow an industry artist got your beat and they took it somehow, they ended up with it, you know, however way. You can send a takedown notice, and if they don't take the song down, you create what's called urgency. So you say, hey, you have 90 days to take the song down, unless you pay me my production fee, which is whatever, $1,000 or whatever. And that might clear it up. You can negotiate. You have what's called leverage to negotiate. Would I recommend you do that? No, that's for like penny pinchers. You know, you don't want to be that type of person. But have I seen lawyers do it? Yeah, but it's, again, you're going to have to pay a lawyer. So you're losing your money that you're going to get from the production fee anyway. So what's the point of doing it? What's the ideal amount of melodies in a mainstream hip hop song? The amount of melodies, you usually have one. There's melodies 4 layers. There's a top line. You have a harmony layer. They have what's called a contrast layer, and then you have a rhythm section to your melody. So they can be combined or added in any way. Those are your 4 sections of melody. Oh, thank you, Kendrick. Oh, this is way back. I guess that was when Leo came in. I'm way back in the live stream. So I'm literally going question by question, trying not to skip over anybody. So this is why I'm way back. When I turn my song on in the car when the bass is playing, it partially covers the vocals and it sounds very strange, as if the vocals fade out. It's called masking, and it's because you didn't create enough headroom. Your bass, just look up headroom, look up bass mixing, and then look up masking. Okay, you need to study those concepts. Paul King says, am good on sampling. Can you tell me the best way to find copyright-free samples? You could look for royalty-free loop packs. There really aren't copyright-free samples out there where people just give away their songs for free. So yeah, that's my answer to you. How to make that the instrument do not interfere with the vocals. In a short answer, side chaining, compression, but it's really, you have to mix better. It shouldn't be that you're like trying to turn everything else down just because the vocals are like everything should blend. But the answer to you is sidechain compression. Using your instruments as a bus. You could turn down the instrument's bus every time your vocals come in. I wouldn't recommend doing that all the time though. Paul King says, is there a free music distributor out there? YouTube.com. Actually, I don't even know. Free. Yeah, Spotify used to let you upload directly to Spotify until they realized they have a bunch of people uploading and they have to pay for the server cost and they can't afford the server cost. And y'all weren't making the money on the music. So sometimes you just got to be real with yourself. Like, what are you uploading to DSPs for? If it's to make money, then just, you're gambling at that point. I don't think so. I just find great samples over there. Most of them are, okay. Cali Piano says, I love your content, bro. Love your teaching. Thank you. I'm reading the chat like really fast. Can you repeat the other program? I don't know what you mean by other. You got to rewind the live stream, my dog. I don't know what you're referring to. What old school album do we all need to listen to production wise? I mean, if I had a suggestion, I would say anything from Michael Jackson is impeccable music. Like all his hits. Look up the multi-tracks for Michael Jackson. We actually have them in our Discord. Just go to discord.gg/busyworksbeats. You can hear Billie Jean spread out with all the instruments like drums, bass, drums, bass, background synthesizers, vocals, vocal group. Like when you hear the mastery of what Michael Jackson has, your brain you'll realize that you're witnessing magic. And then from that point, you'll start to understand that music goes deeper than what you think. So that's an album I'd recommend you go check out. Michael Jackson multi-tracks for Billie Jean. Like I said, Thriller, I think, is one of them. Forgetting all the songs. Remember the time. No, that one's not in there. We have them in our Discord. In fact, you know what? You just reminded me I need to update the Michael Jackson. Let me take a note on my phone real quick. I'll just screenshot it. Michael Jackson multi-tracks update. There we go. I'll screenshot that note. Oh, Opera Coolum says, yo, Busy, how feasible is it for me to earn $100,000 a year on music and sample packs presets? I'm a paramedic in RN school, but I also want to earn income from music samples and presets. Any thoughts? So let's take away the music, because right now your music is a byproduct of everything else that you push. I think people think music is like this thing that's going to do all the work for them. You guys have to pump up your music like it's a child. Like you have to sow into your music until the child can help you. And I think everybody wants the music to be their manager, so to speak. So anyhow, the sample company, your sound is very unique. So I would say that you have a unique sound. Now, if you're trying to build, sample packs and presets, content marketing. I mean, there's no other answer. Content marketing, organic content marketing. Now, to make 100,000, let's just make this simple math. To make 100,000, let's say you sell your sample packs as a bundle. Let's say you sell it with presets, sample packs, MIDI. Let's say you sell the whole thing, whatever your bundle of stuff is. And that bundle of stuff is $50. So let's divide 100,000 times 50. You need 2,000 customers at that specific price point. The question is, do you have the energy to go out and wrangle down 2,000 people? That's the real question. Because it's going to take a lot of energy. Like, imagine you wanted to hunt all the bears in your area. Like, you would have to manually walk from here to there, take your ATV from here to there, and then it's a lot of work. So you gotta that's a very big milestone. Break it down whenever you have money or, like goals that are quantitative. You want to break it down into daily goals. So if your goal was to make 100,000 in a year, like with a year's time frame, divide 100,000 by 365. You need to make $300 a day on average. That's a lot of money per day on average. Okay, so now you got to say, okay, I have 8 working hours every day. So let's divide that number by 8. So your hour needs to be worth $35. And the question is your hour worth at least $35? And if the answer is no, then you need to skill up so that you're valuable. And I don't know how skilled you are. But it's not only your skill, it's also who do you distribute your stuff to? Like, how many people do you distribute your stuff to? But that's a long answer. It's kind of like, you gave me a 2-hour question. You gave me a 1-second question with a 2-hour answer. Clint Music, where can you get good drums for trap and drill? Whenever you have drums, just look up genre, drum kit, Reddit. Okay, that's your answer. Look up the genre, drum kit, Reddit. You will find the drum kits you need. Do you have any tips for writing lyrics for trap metal. Trap metal lyrics. What would I even do to a trap metal song? I'm thinking the group called They, THY dot. What would I do lyrically? Usually I start with melody first, and then I go back and make lyrics. I write in my head, actually. I don't write lyrics on a piece of paper. But trap metal, it's really not the lyrics, it's the delivery. So instead of me talking like this, I might talk like that. You know, you got to put a little growl in your voice to enhance the harmonics of the sound for that type of genre, because you want to match the metal guitar that you have in your trap beat. Can I use my own sample as a patch and run it through transistor bass? Let me read, where'd it go? Can I use my own sample as a patch and run it through transistor bass? The plugin, let me see here. Transistor bass. I don't think you can have audio input in here, but let me triple check. It says AF. I don't know what that stands for though. So here's what transistor bass is. It's basically the TB303 from Roland put into plugin form for image line, but I don't see any audio inputs in here. Wait, let me see. Engine, extended cutoff. I don't see any button that says that. So I'm gonna say I don't see it yet. But from what I understand, the TB303 is a synthesizer that, let me read your question again. Can I use my own samples as a patch and run it through? So you wanna like glitch up your vocals or something? No, I don't think you could do that. Because the waveform starts at the pulse wave and then it's running through a filter, and that filter is running through a distortion unit, delay and reverb, and then that's going through a sequencer. So I don't think this is like based on audio inputs. It's based on that pulse wave, which is, again, it's modeling the TB303 from Roland. So no, I don't think that's possible. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. What did you have for breakfast? I didn't eat breakfast today. I woke up and got straight to it. I woke up, I was supposed to interview with Dorian from Group 82 Music, but the audio was like effing up. So I'm doing a Q&A instead. How to bring the mix forward without parallel compression. The mix forward. Look into clipping and look into, you said without parallel compression. Limiting and clipping. That's your bring it forward tools. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, he's, where did he go? I don't even know. He's downstairs somewhere. Little chunky head. He's with my beautiful fiance right now, probably eating popcorn or something. Eating an apple. What placements does bro have? Again, I gave my answer before. Raincloud says, where's the best place to get drum samples? I answered that. How do you implement a musical idea that you haven't heard before and it just came into your head as a thought? So record into your phone. Like if this were my phone, for example, like if the DAW were my phone, I'm saying, I'm gonna record ideas. So let's record. And just record stuff. So like, I don't know, I'm just gonna listen to my brain and come up with melodies. So that's one rhythm. Let's do a different rhythm. That was kind of bad. Let me do it again. Okay, so notice, oops. Notice I'm just coming up with random stuff that comes to my mind. You can record it. It doesn't need to be tempo locked. It doesn't need to be to a metronome. Just get it in recording, and then your job as a producer now becomes, how do you translate this? Let me undo. Here. I just... So that's one rhythm. So that's what Timbaland meant by beatbox. Sometimes, here's the problem that we run into as producers. We have ideas in our head, but if we really listen to the ideas in our head, our drums would be way different. It's like we have an idea in our head, but then we start clicking around and produce something way different in the DAW. But when you truly sit down and say, oh, here's how I want my drums, and you translate the drums into your DAW, you're gonna get more of your intent behind the track. It even happens with me. You'll notice like clicking the notes is not going to give you the same results as translating your notes. Transcribing, I should say. That's one beat idea. Another one. That was kind of bad. Let me do that again. So that's 3 beats drums right there. Now the question is, can I get a drum that sounds like that specific sound? Or can I find, you guys get the gist. Y'all didn't even see the DAW. Oh, I didn't know I had the webcam on, my fault. But anyhow, you saw the process. Just record yourself into your phone or your computer and just translate that thing into other sounds that are more modern or whatever the thing is. Now Ableton makes that a little bit easier because you can extract what's called the groove. And so you can make your drums line up with your actual beatbox. And that's why people love Ableton. FL cannot do that currently as easily. You have to extract what's called a groove template, and it's just not as easy. Wait, okay. Where can I get a good, okay, you asked that question like 75 times. I got a specific question for you. How was the synth sound made at 107, 109 on Don Toliver New Drop? Maybe Serum, don't know how to get a sound like that. So let me hear first. You said New Drop. That's the song. Let me look it up. I do like the new Don Toliver album. Don Toliver. Give me a second, y'all. I have to mute my mic for copyright purposes, and it's called New Drop. Okay, so you said 1 minute and 7 seconds. So I'm gonna mute my mic real quick so I can listen to this. So that's a reversed synthesizer. That's why it sounds like that. It sounds very simple, like a sine wave lead. I'm gonna do something very simple. It's hard for me to hear over my phone too, so I know I'm missing some detail. But for what it is, it's a reversed sound. So that's why it sounds quirky like that. And let's do something like a sine wave. Wait, switch screens. Oh. It was something like, so let's just do this. Let's do octave 5. We're gonna do what's called mono legato mode. It's a simple waveform, like it's either a triangle or a sine wave with a little bit of chorus. It sounds like, again, I'm playing it off my speakers on my phone, so it's hard to really pinpoint the exact little tiny details, but it sounds like it's a chorus, something like that, but it's reversed. So let me record this. I did it backwards. So it's something like that, and it just has maybe a filter movement to it. Again, all the little tiny details kind of irrelevant because your sound is going to be a little bit different. So let's just say it has a filter movement like this. Why is FL glitching? Hold on, y'all. FL's glitching. And because this doesn't have a ton of harmonics, we need to shape it more. So it sounds something like this from what I heard. It's like a moving filter or some kind of chorus from what I could detect off the speaker. Now we're gonna print this to audio, consolidate from track start. And I'll show you 2 different ways. So let's do it this way. Let's do it all in one. So what you could do is, let's say you want this to sound forward but reversed. What you could do is copy this over and then go to your tools in FL, go to flip and do it horizontally. So now you've done the same thing, but now it's in reverse. And I think when I flipped, let me do one thing here. Let's flip that again. But this time take off preserve starting times. Hit accept. So now you have it forward and backward. So let's hear both. We're gonna print this to audio. So now when you reverse it, it plays something else. So we can reverse that. So it's probably something like that. Again, I can't hear every little detail about the sound over the speaker, but that's what it sounds like to me. And you're just changing out the sound source itself. It's probably going to be a sine wave or a triangle wave of some sort, because it didn't sound very bright. Tutorial on how to pitch up a vocal sample without sounding like a chipmunk. You're going to need to time stretch it first and then pitch it up. If you don't time stretch it, it's going to have that like sped up sound, and it's going to sound like a chipmunk. Is a beat an entire song without vocal? Wait, is a beat an entire song without vocals, or is it just a drum loop and synth loop? It could be all the above. You said, how can I get good vocals? I have videos on that. Just type in vocal recording FL Studio, BusyWorks Beats. You'll pull up a lot of videos I've made. Where can I get good? Okay, that's like the 80th time I read that question. What does it mean when something goes diamond or platinum? Diamond, I believe, is 10 million records sold. Platinum is 1 million records sold. Now, in current streaming data, I don't know the equivalent of streams. I think it's like 1 billion streams to go diamond or something crazy. I don't know the equivalent. I lost my spot in the chat. Freak, where was I at? I gotta find out where I was. Okay, here it is. Yeah, here we go. When you were starting out, did you pirate FL Studio or did you buy it? When I first started, I definitely had a pirated version of FL Studio. This is when I was like 14 or whatever. Noah says, how important is it to completely finish a song, and how far should I go into a song until starting the next one? I would just ask the questions. Does your song have a top line? Does it have a harmony layer? Does it have a contrast layer? Does it have a rhythm section? Those are the 4 main components to a song. To know when a song is done, are you excited about the song? If not, then you need to go back to the drawing board. It's not done. Bakiman says, started producing in middle school on GarageBand Mobile. 9 years later, I just got FL. Your video's been helping me. This computer stuff is different language, but it ain't as hard as I thought. Well, I appreciate you taking the pathway. I'm glad that I could be a part of your journey. How do you decide how much to charge for a beat? I have a whole video about BeatStars prices. Just go look that video up. It's called BeatStars Exposed or something like that. I forgot the exact title. The Truth of BeatStars or something like that. Just type in BeatStars, BusyWorks Beats. It's one of my latest, more recent videos. What's the point of scale when every scale? I think I answered that one. Can you make a Night Lavelle tutorial? It's been a minute since I did Night Lavelle. I did one a long time ago. Thank you, Arepa Bruno. How much do you charge for a beat? And is it dumb to just work with people and not charge them for every time? I mean, there is no price. Let's just put it this way. You're not just selling a beat when you're selling a beat. You need to watch my videos called How to Sell, because you don't know what you're selling. Like, you could be selling the idea that an artist is going to go on tour for the next month and perform on stage in front of a bunch of people. That's what you're selling. You're not selling the beat. You could be selling the fact that, you know, this song could potentially get them next to another artist that they really respect because it sounds like their style. So you're not selling beats, you're selling everything else. There's a lot of intangible things that you're selling with the beat. Sometimes Metro Boomin, for example, like, people talk about murder beats and Metro Boomin not having these crazy elaborate beats and stuff. You might think you're better than Metro, but it's not. They're not buying your brand though. They're buying Metro's brand. They're buying his association to all these other people. They're buying his reputation. That's why his prices can be sky high. They're not just buying the actual beat. They're buying everything else. You just signed up. Thanks, Dantana. What MIDI keyboard do you recommend? The FL Key 37 from Novation is really good in my opinion. Ableton Instructor. Oh, speaking of, that's hilarious. I'm late in the chat, but thank you, Dantana, for speaking up on that. Are you giving any thoughts? Are you giving any thoughts to hitting the community with an acapella pack? I found a new website where I can actually get other singers and musicians, so maybe. But they didn't accept me on the website just yet, so I can't say for sure. Tamashi says FL Studio or Cubase for orchestral music. I mean, I've heard probably more people use Cubase, but that's not because of any particular reason. I think they just came up on Cubase. You know, there's a person, my best friend Jacob from Software Audio. He made the Travis Scott score in FL Studio. So I mean, just use what you have. I don't think there's, if you're talking about stock sounds and all that, FL does not have their greatest stock sounds, especially for film score. You're going to need a lot of third-party plugins. I don't know what Cubase has from the scratch. So for that reason, I mean, I would say probably other DAWs other than FL. FL's weakness right now is its stock sound selection is not good. Vel Jaco, are you going to make more NWA beats, type beats? I never thought to do it. Thank you for your suggestion. Rico says, I just discovered mixing in mono. I'm honestly just kind of confused why anybody does it. It doesn't everything these days come out in stereo? Yes, Rico. Basically, mixing in mono helps you listen to the dynamic of something because you're not listening to 45 directions of sound. You're listening to one direction and you can feel the ups and downness of your song. Whereas if you're in stereo, you might go up and down. It might be bouncy here, but it's not bouncy on the side. And then this part could be bouncy. So like if the sound's going in 100 different directions, it's hard to really see what's bouncing and what's not. So people pull stuff mono to hear, like, is the beat actually bouncing the way I think it is? That's why they pull it mono, just to check. They don't like fully mix it mono. Mono is also, you know, without going too deep into it, mono is the sum of the left and the right. Let me show you what mono is real quick. Mono is an illusion our brain creates. You know, if I open up a 3X OSC, for example, and we play a test tone. Okay, so let's say I play a test tone. We're going to pan this. This is centered. This is called center. Now, what if I pan it to the left? It's on the left. If I pan it to the right, it's on the right. Now, what happens if I duplicate this exact sound at the exact volume, at the exact phase, at the like everything's exact, and I play it at the same time? We're going to get double the volume because what it's doing is it's stacking the same frequency on itself, which is going to make the hump even bigger in the waveform. Now, what happens if I pan one hard left and one hard right? Now it's back to normal volume, but it sounds centered. I have a sound fully left and I have a sound fully right. What if I play those at the same time? It actually recreates that center image where it was at normal volume. That's because mono is really the same sound at the same time, same velocity, same everything, same pitch, same everything, coming out of both left and right speakers. Mono is not one speaker, it's truly left and right speakers combining, and our brain creates the middle signal. It's an illusion. Stereo is the difference between left and right. So because these are the same exact sound, pan this, you know, different directions, everything's the same except the pan position. Only until I change something about the left and the right signal will our brain perceive a difference. So if I change the pitch of the right channel, now I'll hear the difference between the two. That's what the side is the difference between two signals. Whereas mono is the similarities between two signals, left and right. And when you're mixing in mono, you're hearing what we call stereo information collapsed, so you know the sum of it. And that's why some people mix a mono, because they want to make sure that people can still hear stuff even if there's only one speaker. And that's the science behind it. So side really is the difference between left and the right. That's what the side information is. That's for like ear candy type stuff. Appreciate you watching the master classes. Mr. Busy, I don't have rhythmic in my beats. Please help. I have some drum pattern videos. I actually made a master class on drum patterns recently, and it has about 6,000 views on it right now, and it's a very good video. So I would go watch that one. It's on my page. Street Value says there are fundamentals to mixing. After that, you got to be creative. I have a course called Mixing Fundamentals too at busyworksbeats.com. DJ Ayal says I got disconnected. Where is a good place to distribute your music online? I'm not going to give an answer only because I don't want you to think that there's like one answer for everything. You could do it on YouTube. You could do it on DistroKid. You could do it on TuneCore. Those are the most popular ones. If you want to be everywhere for like low price, DistroKid. But keep in mind, you're paying money so that somebody else can stream your stream and you get paid 0.003. Always remember, you're paying for somebody else to use your content, which is insane to me. They should be paying you for your content. Do you always sidechain your kick? No. To switch the sound of a sample other than changing it up or down by an octave or a fifth, what other semitones still sound good? Does any a sample? I like pitching it down 3 semitones because that gives you the relative major or minor, and pitching it up 3 and pitching it down 3. So if you're in a minor, if you have a minor sample and you pitch it up 3, you're now in the relative major scale. If you have a major scale sample and you pitch it down 3 semitones, you're now in the relative minor scale. Actually, that's incorrect. Never mind. That's not actually true. But it gives you the perception that you're in that, I should say. It's not true though, because if I pull down the major scale, I'm still in the major key. So I worded that incorrectly, but that's what I meant, is that you get the feel of the relative key. What are some good headphones, earbuds for under $50? I don't think that. Just buy some iPhone headphones. Don't be fancy. Buy the iPhone earbuds. Those would be your best investment for under 50 bucks. Don't try to get any overhead headphones for like 50 bucks. You're gonna get trash. Now for recording, the Audio Technicas are pretty good. The MT, like the 20s or whatever they're called. Audio Technica, something 20s, MTX 20s or something like that. They're pretty affordable. But unless you're recording, I would not use those to mix. They're very high. They're very sharp in the high end. Just use your Apple iPhone headphones, because the majority of the world is listening to music from these, or stuff's modeled like these. You don't need to blow a bunch of money on headphones. Jenny D, what up? Street Value. What do you start your beats with, or what do you recommend? There's 4 layers to a beat: top line, harmony, contrast layer, and rhythm. So you can start your beat with any of those 4. I typically start with the harmony because it derives everything else. The sound on my SoundCloud page is good, but when I post it on YouTube, something happens. It becomes muddier. Yeah, YouTube has a lot of compression. So that's just the YouTube algorithm. SoundCloud, I don't think they have as much destructive editing when you upload to SoundCloud, but YouTube definitely compresses the crap out of music. How do I get into film projects and syncing? Look up Clint Music and XJ Will on Instagram. Make sure my audio. Let me check the chat real quick. All right. Okay, as long as y'all can hear me. I heard my audio click and crackle. I thought it stopped for a second. Busy, can you put up the best video for using sampling in FL20? I have a whole course called How to Sample. Just go to my site, busyworksbeats.com. It's called the Sample Series. I have a whole thing going through sampling. How to create better melodies every time without having beat block. You need knowledge, sir. There's three reasons why you beat block. One is that you lack an intent, meaning you're going into FL Studio with no idea to translate. Two is that you're deviating from your intent, meaning that you go in there with an idea and you start doing other stuff and get distracted and you lose your idea. Thirdly is that you simply lack knowledge. I can't make 5-star chef meals if I don't even know the spices, if I don't know what savory means versus sweet versus sour. If I don't know these basic concepts, there's no way I'm creating, a 5-star chef meal. There's no way. If I don't know cooking styles, if I don't know ingredients, if I don't know, how long to put something in, I'm just guessing. And that's probably what you're doing. You're just guessing your way through beats. And because of that, you're not getting the results and you have beat block. So equate it to cooking, because most of us suck at cooking. And you can understand, like, if you don't have the foundations of cooking, you're not going to get to that next level. So you got to learn how to cook. And that's what busyworksbeats.com is all about. Cooking up beats and music. Bobby says, thanks for answering. I've heard of J Will. Is it J Will? I was saying XJ Will. Is it XJ Will? I thought it was XJ Will. Yeah, XJ Will. Or is it just J Will and the X is silent? That'd be crazy if I was calling him XJ Will the whole time. It is a boys club. Like, when you have that much money and power going around, you don't just hand it out to everybody. There's a reason why sync fees are still 5,000, 7,000, 15,000. There's a reason why people get paid a lot of money. It's because they gatekeep pretty much. That's what I want to know. How do I get pulled in? Again, I covered that earlier. I have an orchestra album and I'm wondering, should I release it first or submit to Syncs? I mean, Syncs, I think, want original music. If anything, if they do have a problem with it, I would say put it out first. And then technically you own the copyright still. It's not like you're giving up your copyright to a sync library. So that would be one. But two, yeah. Because think about it. If Meg Thee Stallion put out an album and then they licensed the Meg Thee Stallion song to put in their film, that she's not going to take down the song off her album. I don't know all the clauses and like the little stuff behind the scenes, so that I might be overstepping because I don't know everybody's terms and conditions. I would assume though that that you're gonna own the copyright. I don't know if these sync libraries want you to transfer copyrights. I don't know. So you're gonna have to ask Clint Music and XJ Will. I doubt it though, because that's how you retain your power. John says, how do you become a DJ, or what steps would you take? I'm not a DJ enough to give you that answer. But Kashmir follows me. David Guetta follows me on Instagram. Shout out to them. A lot of DJs follow me, but I don't understand the culture, to be honest with you. I don't know how to get into the DJ game. But keep in mind, the music business is run by lawyers. Lawyers run the music business. You need to network with lawyers more than you need to network with an artist. You have the leverage when you own your content. True. Do I play piano? I dabble. I can't say I play piano though. I know how to write chords and play a couple things, but I don't play piano. Like, I'm not a musician like that currently. You go to DJ channel. Cool. Industry producers don't mix and master their songs. That's if they have somebody next in line. Like, a lot of us at home don't have Tizio to mix our records. We don't have Bob Horn to mix our records. We don't have these guys to be the next step of the chain. And also, a lot of you guys at home don't have the budget. Like, these guys want thousands of dollars per mix, whether it's $1,000, whether it's $5, whatever their fees are. They want a lot of money per mix. You can't afford that per beat most of the time. So that's why, let's say I got a placement for $2,000. Let's just say. Now, most of the time that song isn't even going to be, let's just assume, I'm generalizing here for a point. Let's say the whole song itself gets $2,000 from the label to produce the entire song, and that's it, $2,000. We're gonna give $1,000 to the producer for the production fee, and we're gonna give $1,000 to the mixing engineer. If that money doesn't exist for your situation, you don't have enough money to pay the next person in line. So when people tell me the industry producers don't mix their beats, I would actually say that you're incorrect, because I've seen sessions where industry producers make the beats and then the producer who actually knows a little bit about mixing will go back and clean it up before they send it off. I've seen sessions with Bricks Domain, for example, where in him and Go Grizz, for example, where the track is clipping like plus 20, plus 35. Like it's just in the red beyond what you can imagine. But then at the end of the session, where you guys don't see, is the producer who knows how to engineer pulls the levels back down to below 0, adds a clipper, adds a limiter, whatever, and then sends it off. They don't just clip as if nothing. Like there's certain things that happen behind the scenes. Mixing engineers need deliverables the same way you guys need deliverables for producing a record. If you have pre-production, I should say. So I wouldn't say that that's true. I think people saying that you don't need to mix are just lazy, to be honest. Do I need expensive plugins to make good music? I would say yes. Not to make music, but to make good music, yes. Because coming to this PC, I was like, wow, I can't really do anything without my plugins. Like, so yeah, plugins are very important. Nope, you don't need expensive plugins. I mean, I would say the opposite. What do you think of Kevin Parker? Tame Impala. I've heard the name. I've never gotten to the music though. Has somebody ever used Trident console to mix and master full tracks? I've never seen it used. I've seen the plugin, but not the console. Customer support is when you have inquiries about a purchase, or somebody's confused, or somebody wants a refund, or they want to learn what's next or what's the next steps. You have to support your customers in after the transaction. You don't just give them something and run away. You have to help them, like make sure everyone is satisfied with the purchase. Yes, but also too giving them the next steps. What else can they do? How to get over learning curve? Feels like it's taking me years, because you're probably not learning from somebody who makes it easy. Go to busyworksbeats.com. My courses are crystallized pathways. You have to learn from somebody who knows it at a high level and also will take you step by step without skipping steps. The problem that most people have is that they're learning stuff on YouTube, and because it's YouTube, they have to edit the video to where it cuts out a lot of the step by step to be entertaining. So somebody might have a video on like how to mix track, how to make trap beats, but they'll show you like a plugin by itself, none of the steps on how to like make it sound good, or like the step by step. They'll skip all that just for the editing purposes. And because they have to edit and do all this stuff, they kill the content of the video, which is the step by step. And that's what I don't do on my YouTube. I try not to overly edit, because you guys need the step by step. I don't care if my video doesn't get 30,000 views the same day. I want people to actually learn. And to do that, you need the step by step. You can't skip steps. So that's probably what's happening, is you're watching content that keeps skipping the steps. They don't show the full process. Did you use Juice for your plugin? It's built on Juice. No, I did not use Juice though. We used the Juice source code though. But no, I did not use, I didn't code and then just like use the Juice framework or whatever. You live on you live on live. You're not a machine. Go eat something. Ty Lopez said, if you skip the first 3 hours when you first wake up, don't eat. It will help your body. You're supposed to get exercise right when you wake up, and also not eat right away, because it will trigger your insulin. I'll say everybody needs some kind of equalizer too. Is it worth trying to make sound? I'm going to probably answer I have about 5 minutes left of me. Is it worth trying to make sounds I hear in my head through sound design, or should I use sounds that are already made? I mean, that's a question of how much effort do you want to put into this? I don't think that's a yes or a no. I think it's how much energy do you truly want to put into sound designing, because your learning curve might be extremely high just to get a basic sound. Do you know how I can check if my mix sounds good? There's a plugin called Isolate. It's free. You want to check each frequency band and say, does it sound good in this frequency band? Does it sound good in this one? What do I need to fix? That's a good plugin to check your mixes. Daniel says, you know Metro Boomin in person? I've never met him in person though. He just follows me on Instagram and Twitter. He's very kind, I'll say that. I've never had to talk with him though. I've had to talk with other high level producers like Teddy. Well, I didn't technically talk directly to Teddy, but we shared audio messages back and forth. Teddy Riley, OG, Warren G, Rodney Jerkins, Who else is like high level producer like that? I don't really like, again, once you kind of talk to the high level people, it's like they're people just like us. I don't know why people like worship celebrities so much. I don't get it. Bubba Seeds headed out early. Creeper CV says, can you make a Night Lavelle? If more people ask. I haven't heard that name in a long time. The sound on my SoundCloud page is good. I feel like I read these before. In terms of plugins, do you really need to buy paid ones because of their quality? Yes, I would say, to get very good results. I'm not in the band. I'm not in the camp that says you can get everything for free and there's alternatives to everything. I don't believe that. I'm not going to sit here and lie to y'all to say this is the alternative for Omnisphere. There is no Omnisphere alternative. The closest thing would be Rolling Cloud, but it's still not an alternative to Omnisphere. Busy probably sick of us asking the same question. No, I mean, I get it. They probably thought I wasn't reading the comments, but I was reading from back in time. I should learn some music theory because there's always one chord I can't get right in the emotional progression, and that leaves me frustrated. You'll learn. You need to probably study chord voicing more than you need to study like the next chord type. Look at chord voicing. That's a big part of the sound. You seen he tried to play in Egypt, but they didn't let him because he's a Mason. I didn't see that. I saw he was in Egypt, but I didn't see the whole, I didn't know there was more to it. And I wouldn't call people stuff that you don't know. Like, what really disturbed me was when people said he sacrificed his family member. Like, are y'all insane? Not you specifically. I'm talking about the internet. Like, is the internet insane? They have zero empathy. You know, the man lost his mother. Like, there's only one person on this earth that I could truly say that will always be in my corner at all times, and that's my mother. Like, once you lose that foundation of life, it's just like, who's in your corner? So he was, you know, he lost his parent. My mom lost her parent at 18, and she was lost for years and years and years. Said it affected her pretty bad, so I can only imagine. Sound selection or sound design? I would say sound selection first. Sound design takes a lot of time. Even when you know how to design sounds, it still takes a lot of time. So for that reason, I would say sound selection. Bayan Deist says, it's crazy how many music people have never looked into cymatics and the sacred patterns. I guess because it's like cool to know, but it's like, how do you apply that to music, you know? Like if you don't know how to apply it to music, it's like, what's the point of knowing the solfeggio patterns, solfeggio frequencies, if you're not going to apply it to the music? Southside bounce, delayed hi-hats. Just nudge your hi-hat a little to the right. Nudge your kicks a little to the right. You'll get a bouncier sound. ZBK says, struggling a lot here. I've been sharpening my craft on music production, mixing, mastering, learning, singing since 2010. And after all these years, I realized I'm specialized. I'm not an artist. What? I'm specialized. I'm not an artist. Existential crisis going on right now. I lost myself and became a machine. I don't understand the conundrum there. Will you ever do breakdowns on full songs? I would love to do it on YouTube, but YouTube is very strict on the stuff we can cover. So I think Rick Beato got a pass because he's friends with all these record labels. For me, I'm just an average Joe to these record labels, so they're not as friendly with what content I can use. So it's kind of like a boys club in that way. I'm just not willing to take the risk. Because these record labels have a lot of power when it comes to content because that's their leverage. You said I'm insane at everything, but I'm not an artist. You got a baby on the way? Shout out to you. Because of all these years, I thought I was preparing myself to be an artist. I'm far from being an artist. I see what you mean. Like I think I know what you mean. Well, like even myself, I have all this stuff, but recording a song, it feels like a foreign concept to me because it feels like a luxury. I have to really, really, really be ahead of the curve for me to like have the time to record songs. So for me, unless I force myself to do it, or if I record with my son or something in the room, that's when I'll be motivated to record. But I don't know. You'll find something to motivate you to become more of your artistry. Your child will probably motivate you because making songs with your children is fun. Do you have a West Coast beat tutorial? I do. Type in West Coast beat tutorial, BusyWorks Beats. How do you get a Spotify artist page? I think you have to sign up and like apply for it. What synths would you recommend to me with the high quality bass that can be used in modern hip hop? I wouldn't recommend a lot of plugins. If anything, my plugin at busyworksbeats.com/Hercules. I'll play some of the sounds real quick. But truly Trillion, but again, it's $300 to get Trillion. Like, it's not affordable like that. Let me see. Trillion by Spectrasonics. Trillion is $300, but they would have the best, cleanest bass. So here's my plugin. Let's load up some bass patches real quick. And then after this, I'm too tired to continue, y'all. So my favorite one is called S. Oh, you can't see the screen. Here it is. Boom. So this one's called SO. It just cuts through the speakers. Go down an octave here. That one's nice. Let me see what else. Let me just go from top to bottom here. That was an older patch. So I have West Coast sounding basses. I have. Let me turn my mic off for a second. Hold on. And that's just the first, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 patches. So my bass, I really went on the sound of the bass, the bells, and my favorite patches are in the plucks as well as pads. I also love the keys section. So there's a lot more bass presets in here. There's 340 sounds in this plugin. Just go to busyworksbeats.com/Hercules to learn more about it. But yeah, that's a good plugin to get nice bass sounds because those bass sounds were designed from like a lot of synthesizers. So I would continue, but there's a lot of chat that I missed apparently. Actually, let me speed. It looks like we're almost done. Okay. So I'm gonna speed read. It looks like I'm finally at the end of the questions. We made it to the end. So let me speed answer. I'm only gonna give like 1 sentence answers to the next questions. We're not gonna go into a whole tutorial each one. All right, so what synths would you recommend for high quality bass? Making melodies in your head. I would say record your melodies into your phone or whatever you're recording to, and then kind of build around that. What should I do with vocals that are peaking? Add a compressor and add a limiter. I like the 1176 Rev A compressor, and I like the Pro L2 from FabFilter as the limiter. That's a good chain for you. And just turn the volume down. Like your volume of your vocal should not be peaking. Turn it down. What's the best place to sell beats? I'll just say BeatStars, even though that's not my answer. Are one-shot sample drums better than plug-in generated drums? Yes, in my opinion. Well, one-shots don't always mean that they're analog either, or that they're recorded from a microphone. One-shot could just be a sample of a plugin that generated the drums. But I usually use samples of drums. I don't use plugins that have drums in it. Is it possible to monetize beats that have song samples in it? Technically, yeah, but the question is, can you get through that filter of them not recognizing it? That's the real question. But again, not legal advice. Music is my favorite hobby. Still having fun without making money. But the answer is yes to answer you. Flowy says, yo, Busy, how do you how to make contacts with people from the industry, how to find them. LinkedIn will give you the corporate people, but the younger cats who are A&Rs and stuff, they're not on LinkedIn. They just have a LinkedIn profile for their job. You can go on LinkedIn, look at all the Sony reps, follow them on Instagram, and then, like I said earlier, people in the industry follow other people in the industry. So all you got to do is go to who they follow and go through their entire list and see who else is in the industry, and then keep doing that so you can get a monopoly board of all the people who are in the industry. Slowly over time, you'll start to get an idea of how they move. You're talking about trailer music industry? Yeah, LinkedIn is where they would be. Also, what's that website? IMDb Pro lists the music supervisors for, you have to buy the Pro, and it lists out the music supervisor contact information, I believe. But it doesn't mean they're going to answer your email. So just because it's there does not mean they're going to answer you. Yeah, you can kind of convert WAV into MIDI, but it's not like foolproof though. Well, I mean, translation queue money is like, I could have a whole movie in my head, but just because I have a movie in my head, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna tomorrow make Avatar 5 just because I have it in my head. Does not, like, I need to know color grading. I have to find people who are gaffers. We have to get a studio. We have to get sound stages. We have to get voice over actors. We have to get, we have to license out music. It's way bigger than just like the vision. The vision is just the starting point. You got to do all the hard work to get all the people in place to do the rest. So translation sounds simple, but it's just like making a movie. You have to do the work, and that's what nobody wants to do. 803 MGTV says, when we gonna make that sample pack? You talked about us linking up on a live stream a while back after listening to my song. 803 MGTV. My brain probably got scattered, to be honest with you. But I am looking for sound designers. Hop in our Discord if you're not. Discord.gg/busyworksbeats. That's where I like to recruit folks. My mix doesn't sound good. What should I do? You should use the isolate plugin and figure out where it doesn't sound good. It's a free plugin. Do you have a video on how to make melodies? I have a lot of videos on how to do that. Check my channel. What was your greatest achievement in music? Making this YouTube channel. Y'all that's funny. All around entertainment. How do you keep your big sounds organized? My big, on an external hard drive, I organize it into subfolders. I do a folder called sounds. Under there, I have a folder called friends sounds. Under there, I have a folder of folders of different people's drum kits, and or like the creator of the drum kit. So like Decap, my best friend Jacob, MG the Future, etc., etc. And then in that folder, I place their drum kits. So everything's organized like that. What's my favorite artist? I don't really have one, to be honest with you. Nope, I don't really have one. I like the group They. They're really good. But they need to drop more music. What size should I cut some acoustic foam? I wouldn't do it by hand. And I wouldn't use foam. I would use acoustic panels, not foam. Foam is bullcrap. I make some beats that I believe are unique but are unwrappable. Just put them out there. Maybe somebody else will like them. Put them on YouTube. Do you have any videos or, shall I say, tutorials on making J-pop or K-pop? That I don't actually. I would recommend Make Pop Music. He's crazy fire with that genre. We're almost done. I'm catching up finally. I cannot find a drum masterclass. Anyone know the title? It's on my YouTube. Type in youtube.com/busyworksbeats. It's one of my last like 5 videos that I made. It's called How to Make Drum Patterns Like the Pros or something like that. Let's check my videos tab. Here's what it looks like. If you go to videos on my page, go to videos specifically, and then go to where it says How to Make Drum Patterns Like the Pros. 6 days ago, I made that. IFFL 21, how do I get the notes on the keys and the piano roll? You have to go into the settings. I don't know why they have this off by default. It's like one of the biggest pet peeves of mine. if you go into the piano roll, click in the top left where it says piano roll options, go to view, and then go to where it says keyboard labels, and then go to all notes. If you turn this off, it makes 0 sense to turn this off. I don't know why they have it off by default. It makes no sense. But yeah, key labels, I think they have it on root note. But because we're producing horizontally, you have to know where you are. It's not like a keyboard where you can see shapes. You would have to turn your head sideways. I wish they would fix that, but they don't. Does clarity matter or what? Let me read this slowly. Does clarity matter or an emotion matter in a beat? I would say emotion over clarity. Both matter, but Kanye has mid mixing, but has some of the, yeah, I agree. It's all about feeling more than it is clarity. I think people are too obsessed about clear and wide audio. Everything wasn't stereo back in the day. Everything wasn't super bright. Like sample rates weren't even high enough to where we had super bright audio. So it's different back then. Do you think I can make it using loops? What do you mean make it? I mean, I've seen top producers use loops, yes. Studying to be a producer, but I got a little depressed. Keep going. Go to my website. You guys will get a lot more clarity if you go to my website, busyworksbeats.com. I've literally mapped out step by step everything that you guys are going through, because I've been in your shoes before, so I know how frustrating it is. You like pigments? When do you have your first sales? Because I put a lot of beats online. Well, what's a lot? Let me go to your website. I can guarantee you probably don't have enough. And you need to make content. You need to stop putting out beats, put out content. I'll tell you your issue. Let's see. Oops. All right, so here is your page. You don't even have enough beats. You have 11 videos. You need 30 beats minimum to even begin to say that you haven't. Make 30 beats. You have 19 more to go. You haven't started selling beats yet. You have not started. If I go to your website, you only have 4 to choose from. Oh wait, no, it's more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, dog, you're about 17 beats shy of even starting a beat store. And first of all, I clicked on your BandLab. How do you even buy tracks from you on here? I don't see a buy button. So that's confusing. Let me see where your website actually is. Hold on. Okay, buy this beat, BeatStars. First of all, I would change out your website link on your page. You have a BandLab link in your page. I don't know why. You need to send people to BeatStars if you want them to buy your beat. And not everybody's going to click on your YouTube video description. That's like the last place people will check. Pin it as a comment on your YouTube video. Put it in your YouTube profile. So on BeatStars, let's see how many tracks you got. Wait, click the wrong button. You only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tracks. Dog, you need 22 more beats to even begin. You don't have enough product. Your products aren't high enough. And you're not making content. That's why. You're making beats, you're not making content. That's like me making a bunch of cakes and then being like, why don't I sell these cakes? There's nobody out in the streets marketing for me. Why aren't these cakes selling? I'm making these cakes in the basement of a dark basement and nobody is buying my cakes. You got to go out and make content so that people know that you exist. How do you make kicks crunchy without breaking the noise gate? You can add a soft clipper. That's my favorite technique. Or you could run it through saturation, which is, I use modulated saturation. Do you still use Twitch TV? I don't, only because Streamlabs made it difficult to stream to both. Excuse me, on my Mac. You said Young Boy sounds in Hercules? Any Young Boy sounds? Not that New Orleans type sound, no. It's my own sound, so it's not like modeled after anything else. Bangladesh, welcome. As a rapper, should I start making my beats or keep working with others? Personally, as an artist, I like to create everything about the beat.
it's almost boring if I just find a beat online and start rapping to it. It depends on how much fun you're having. If you're having fun recording other people's beats, I would go for it. But for me, I lose a lot of that fun when it's just me rapping on something. I feel like I have a lot more to offer. So that's where I need to get hands-on with the beat too. That's just me though. Meefer says, I've tried making beats without stealing other melodies. I mean, sampling anyways. Any tips on making original melodies? I have a lot of videos on melodies, so check out my channel. I don't mean to be vague, but I did like 2 live streams recently. I think a 4-part live stream on my YouTube. It was a 4-part live stream about how to make melodies. So, I mean, that's, if there's anywhere to start, it's that. And it looks like this. So let me show you. So if you go to live, I have how to make melodies part 3, how to make melodies live, how to make melodies part 2, how to make melodies live. So I have a lot of live streams about melody making, like a lot. Recently a lot, I should say. So make sure you click on that live tab though. You have a label if you don't, what? You have a label if you don't. How do I join? I don't have a label. I'm not sure if you're even talking to me. You said Hodge. I don't know who that is. But we used to do a Discord record label thing, but now we're kind of doing it a different way. But just hop on our Discord. That's the best place to come network with us all. Just Discord. The link's at the top. discord.gg/busyworksbeats. We have over 90,000 people in there, from artists and producers to mixing engineers to sound designers to loop makers. There's a lot of people in there. You said, should I get FL keys first to learn to play an instrument? I mean, you got to use what you have. I would recommend Flex more than I would use FL keys, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. How do you make a direct wave instrument in free trial? I don't think there must be a limitation on direct wave. I forget what the free trial is, but that's a great question. Too specific for this live stream though. But I do know you can load up direct wave player for free in the free trial. I don't know if you can save and make one in the free trial. Is there a playlist with basics that everyone should know? And I have a video on how to do that too. Just type in direct wave BusyWorks beats. Is there a playlist with basics that everyone should know or something like that? I do, but just go to busyworksbeats.com/ actually let me show you where you should start. Just go to my site and then go to free courses and then go to where it says FL Studio 21 beginners course. This is where you want to start, because from here you'll have everything you need to know to go to the next step. We got Egypt in the building. Do plugins make your song sound better? The answer is yes. Do you have a video on how to create your own sample song using a part of a song you can't find? What? Do you have a video on how to create your own sample song using a part of a song you can't find on a sample site? I'm gonna come back to that question because I don't even know what that means. When I make songs, I find it hard to not get caught in the clipping and processing. How to remedy this? You got to learn about headroom and clipping, soft clipping. Also, turn your monitoring levels up. You're probably just monitoring too low, so you're slamming everything because you can't hear it. Just turn your headphones up, and it will help you with headroom. And then turn them back down when you're mixing. Best website to start BeatStars. I'll just say BeatStars because I'm being lazy, but there's a much longer explanation to that. Do you have a video on how to create your own sampled song using a part of a song you can't find on a sample site? I don't even know how to answer that question. Don't even understand the question. So we're gonna skip that. Do plugins make your song sound better? Yes. Favorite soda? I don't drink soda, I drink water. What is the best free bass? This is the last question I'm taking today. The best free bass is our 808 samples. You can get them at busyworksbeats.com/FL Studio. There you go. All right, guys, we answered all the questions as promised. Thank you guys for being patient today. And yes, go watch all the masterclasses and all the replays of all the masterclasses.